This is Daniel Rothman, and you're tuned to 104.7 FM, and it's just past 6 in the morning on what started as an ordinary Tuesday. I've got my coffee here still hot, and Emily just handed me something that honestly seems like it should be a joke, but she's not laughing. So apparently there's been some kind of incident at Harrington University. That's about 40 miles north of here, for those of you just tuning in. Emily's getting more details now, but what we're hearing is that there was some sort of evacuation around the science buildings early this morning. Campus security called it in around 4:30. Now, the university hasn't released an official statement yet, but we're trying to get someone from their public information office on the line. I'm looking at my screen here, and there's nothing on the major news wires yet. Local police scanner traffic has been quiet. Emily's shaking her head. She's saying the university switchboard isn't picking up. That's unusual for this time of morning. They usually have someone there. Let me tell you what we know for certain. At approximately 4:27 this morning, multiple calls came into county dispatch reporting unusual activity at Harrington University's Biological Sciences Complex. The callers, and I'm reading from the dispatch log here, the callers reported seeing people running from the building. Some mentioned smoke, though fire department says they found no evidence of fire when they arrived on scene. The building in question houses several research laboratories. Harrington's known for their virology program. They do a lot of work with infectious diseases, vaccine development, that sort of thing. All very legitimate, very controlled research. These facilities have safety protocols that would make Fort Knox look casual. Now, I don't want anyone to panic. These research facilities, they have procedures for exactly this kind of thing. If there was any kind of leak or contamination, the protocols kick in automatically. The building has independent air systems, negative pressure rooms, the whole 9 yards. Whatever happened, it stayed inside. I'm getting a text from Marcus. He's a night custodian at the university, been working there for years. He says the entire north campus is blocked off. Campus police, city police, and he's seeing vehicles he doesn't recognize. Dark SUVs with government plates. That's interesting. The sun's coming up now. I can see it from the studio window here, just starting to paint the sky that deep orange. It's going to be a beautiful day weather-wise. Clear skies, temperature climbing to around 73 by this afternoon. Seems almost wrong to talk about the weather when something's clearly happening up at Harrington, but life goes on, right? Emily's pulling up the university's website now. There's a banner across the top. It went up about 10 minutes ago. Quote, due to an ongoing situation in the Biological Sciences Complex, all classes and campus activities are canceled for today. Students and staff are asked to remain in their dormitories and housing until further notice. Essential personnel only. More information to follow. Let me try the university again. Emily, can you dial that number? No answer. Straight to a busy signal. The whole system must be overwhelmed. I'm seeing some activity on social media now. Students posting from their dorms. A lot of confusion. Some are saying they heard sirens all night. Others talking about seeing hazmat suits. Now, I want to be careful here because social media is not a reliable source. People see what they expect to see, especially when they're scared or excited. But there's a pattern forming in these posts. I'm going to try to get someone official on the line here. Emily's working on it. In the meantime, let me give you some context about what exactly happens at that research facility. The Harrington University Biological Sciences Complex was built in 2014 with a combination of private and federal funding. It's a biosafety level 3 facility, which means it's equipped to handle dangerous pathogens. We're talking about diseases like tuberculosis, yellow fever, things that can cause serious illness, but for which we have treatments or vaccines. It's not level 4, which is what you'd need for something like Ebola, but it's serious. The virology lab there has been working on something they call accelerated evolution studies. I actually did a piece on this about 2 years ago. The idea is they can simulate thousands of generations of viral evolution in a matter of weeks. It helps them predict how viruses might mutate, which is useful for developing vaccines and treatments ahead of time. Dr. Sarah Chen runs that program. She's brilliant, published in all the major journals. I interviewed her for that piece. She explained how they use special chambers that put evolutionary pressure on viral samples, forcing them to adapt and change rapidly. She was very clear about the safety measures, multiple containment barriers, HEPA filtration systems, constant air pressure monitoring. She said the chances of anything getting out were essentially zero. Emily's holding up her phone. She's got someone from the county health department. Finally, so according to the health department, and this is preliminary, there was a mechanical failure in one of the laboratory ventilation systems overnight. They're saying it was detected immediately and the building's automated safety systems activated as designed. The area was evacuated as a precaution. They're bringing in specialists to assess the situation and determine if there was any environmental release. Environmental release. That's the technical term for something getting out. They're being very careful to emphasize that this is precautionary. No confirmed exposure, no reported illnesses. The evacuation was orderly and by the book. But here's what they're not saying. They're not saying what was being studied in that lab. They're not saying how many people were in the building when this happened. They're not saying when the campus will reopen. I've got the county emergency management director's number here somewhere. Let me see if I can get through. Still busy. Everyone's trying to call everyone. It's 6:43 now. Morning drive time is starting to pick up for those of you just joining us. There's been an incident at Harrington University involving one of their research laboratories. Classes are canceled, campus is restricted, and authorities are investigating what they're calling a mechanical failure in a ventilation system. We're staying on top of this and we'll bring you updates as we get them. Let me take you through the traffic situation one more time because it's going to affect your morning commute. Route 12 is completely closed northbound at Miller Road. That's going to back up traffic all the way to the junction. Your best bet is to take the eastern bypass or cut through town on Oak Street. The bypass is moving well right now, but that won't last once everyone figures out the detour. I'm looking at a map of the campus here. The Biological Sciences Complex is on the northern edge, relatively isolated from the main student areas. That's by design. You don't put a facility handling dangerous materials right in the middle of student housing. The nearest dormitory is about a quarter mile away. Between them is just open quad space and some parking lots. But a quarter mile isn't very far if something actually got into the air. Emily just showed me something. The local hospital, Mercy General, they've activated what they call their incident management protocol. That's a step below a full emergency declaration, but it means they're preparing for the possibility of treating multiple patients. They've canceled elective surgeries scheduled for this morning, and they're calling in additional staff. Now, again, this could all be precautionary. When there's any hint of a hazmat situation, hospitals automatically go into preparation mode. It doesn't necessarily mean they're expecting sick people. It means they're being careful. But 2 + 2 = 4. University lab incident. Hospital preparations. Road closures, government vehicles on scene. Something happened up there. I need to be responsible about how I talk about this. I'm not going to speculate or spread fear, but I'm also not going to pretend this is just a routine equipment malfunction. Routine equipment malfunctions don't shut down an entire campus. They don't bring federal response team. They don't make hospitals go into preparation mode. Whatever happened at Harrington University in the early hours of this morning, it's significant. It's coming up on 7 o'clock. Let me check in with Emily, see if she's got anything new. She's shaking her head, still trying to get someone official who'll talk to us beyond the prepared statements. Everyone's in meetings. Everyone's assessing the situation. Everyone will have more information later. Later. That's what they always... I'm seeing more posts from students now. The tone is shifting from curious to worried. People are asking if they should leave campus. Others are saying the gates are closed, nobody's being allowed to exit. The university is denying that, saying students are free to leave but are being asked to stay put as a precaution. There's a difference between being asked and being allowed. That distinction matters. One post caught my eye. A parent whose daughter is a freshman at Harrington. She says she spoke to her daughter an hour ago and everything seemed normal, but now her calls aren't going through. Just rings and rings. Could be network congestion. When everyone tries to call at once, cell towers get overloaded. Happened during that storm last spring. Or it could be something else. I'm trying to stay measured here, trying to give you facts without jumping to conclusions, but I'd be lying if I said I wasn't getting a bad feeling about this. Emily's got the university's emergency notification system pulled up. They sent out another alert at 6:55. This one's more specific. Quote, students and staff are required to shelter in place until further notice. This is not a drill. Secure all windows and doors. Avoid contact with anyone displaying unusual symptoms. Medical personnel are available for consultation. Report any concerns immediately to campus security. Shelter in place. Required, not requested. Avoid contact with anyone displaying unusual symptoms. What symptoms? What are we talking about here? Need to call the health department back. Emily, get him on the line again. This is 7:04 on a Tuesday morning, and I'm Daniel Rothman on 04.7 FM. What started as a report of a laboratory incident at Harrington University is starting to look like something more serious. The campus is in full lockdown now, students ordered to shelter in place. That's a direct quote from the university's emergency alert system. The health department is saying they can't provide additional details at this time. Investigation is ongoing. We'll have a press briefing later this morning. That's what they told Emily just now. A press briefing. That's when you need to get your story straight before talking to the media. That's when you're coordinating with multiple agencies. That's when lawyers and public relations people are involved. I want to talk about something for a minute. I want to talk about what happens when a research facility has a real breach, not just a mechanical failure, because I think that's what we might be looking at here. When you're working with dangerous biological materials, the safety protocols are built in layers. You've got physical containment, the actual sealed chambers and rooms. You've got air handling systems that keep everything under negative pressure so air flows in, not out. You've got personnel and protective equipment. You've got decontamination procedures. You've got monitoring systems that detect the slightest anomaly. For something to actually escape all of those barriers, you need multiple failures happening at once. It's like Swiss cheese. You know that analogy? Each slice of cheese has holes, but when you stack them up, the holes usually don't line up. You can't see through the stack. But every once in a while, the holes align perfectly. That's what we might be looking at. A perfect alignment of failures. Dr. Chen, the virologist I mentioned, she told me in that interview that their research involved creating viral variants that don't exist in nature. They're studying theoretical mutations. What if scenarios? What if this virus developed resistance to this treatment? What if it mutated to spread more easily? It's important work. It helps us prepare for future outbreaks. But the flip side is you're creating things that evolution hasn't gotten around to making yet. You're opening doors that nature left closed. And if one of those theoretical variants gets out, we don't have natural immunity. We don't have treatments. We're starting from scratch. I'm looking at the CDC website now. Nothing about Harrington. No alerts. No warnings. That actually tells me something. If this was spreading beyond the immediate area, if this was a regional or national threat, CDC would be all over it. The fact that they're quiet suggests whatever happened is still localized. Small comfort. It's 7:18. Traffic is backing up on the bypass now as word spreads about the Route 12 closure. You're looking at delays of 20 to 30 minutes if you're heading north. South and westbound routes are moving normally. Emily just got a call from her friend who works at the county morgue. I probably shouldn't share this, but you deserve to know. They've been told to prepare for possible incoming. Not immediate, just to be ready. Standard procedure for any mass casualty situation, which this isn't, but the fact that morgue staff are being prepped tells you how seriously authorities are taking this. I need to be clear. No one has died. No one has been reported injured. These are precautionary measures, but the level of precaution is significant. Let me tell you what I know about how these things typically unfold based on past incidents at research facilities around the country. First, there's the immediate response. Evacuate the affected area, seal it off, assess who might have been exposed. That's where we are now. That happened in the first few hours. Next comes exposure tracking. You identify everyone who is in the facility, everyone they had contact with, everywhere they went. You're building a map of potential spread. That takes days usually, but in the age of security cameras and electronic key cards, they can do it faster. Then there's monitoring. Everyone potentially exposed gets checked regularly for symptoms. Blood work, temperature, any sign that something's wrong. This is the phase where you're waiting and hoping that the containment held, hoping that the exposure was minimal, hoping that even if someone got hit with whatever it was, their immune system fights it off. Finally, there's the all clear, or there isn't. We're still in phase 1, maybe edging into phase 2. The fact that they locked down the whole campus suggests they're not sure yet who might have been exposed. They're casting a wide net. I'm getting texts from listeners now. People want to know if they should be worried, if their kids are safe at Harrington, if this could spread to the rest of us. Honestly, I don't know. I wish I did. What I can tell you is that authorities are treating this seriously, which means you should too. If you have family or friends at Harrington, tell them to follow the shelter-in-place order. Stay inside. Lock the doors. Wait for official word. If you're in the surrounding area within 10 or 15 miles of the university, pay attention to any symptoms. Fever, difficulty breathing, confusion, unusual fatigue. If you develop any of those, call your doctor. Don't just show up at the emergency room if you can avoid it. Call ahead so they can prepare. And wash your hands. I know that sounds basic, but it's still the best defense we have against infectious disease. It's 7:32. I'm Daniel Rothman, and you're listening to 104.7 FM. Let me give you a full recap of what we know. Sometime around 4:30 this morning, there was an incident at the Harrington University Biological Sciences Complex. Initial reports suggested a ventilation system failure in one of the research laboratories. The building was evacuated and a security perimeter established. At approximately 7 o'clock, The university ordered a complete campus lockdown with all students and staff required to shelter in place. The alert specifically mentioned avoiding contact with anyone showing unusual symptoms, though no specifics about those symptoms have been provided. Local hospital is on heightened alert. County Emergency Management is coordinating a response. Federal personnel are on scene, though no agency has officially claimed jurisdiction yet. The main access road to the campus is closed and all classes are canceled indefinitely. What we don't know is bigger. We don't know what specific pathogen or material might have been released, if any. We don't know how many people might have been exposed. We don't know the risk to the broader community. We don't know when the situation will be resolved, and that uncertainty is the hardest part. Emily's pulling up some background on the specific research being conducted at the facility. The virology department there has had several active projects over the past year. One involved studying coronavirus mutations, looking at how the spike protein might evolve. Another was focused on influenza, trying to predict the next pandemic strain. There was also work being done on hemorrhagic fevers, the class of viruses that includes Ebola and Marburg. But the project that concerns me, the one Dr. Chen was heading, was the Accelerated Evolution Study. They were literally creating evolutionary pressure cookers for viruses, taking a baseline pathogen and forcing it to evolve rapidly, seeing what mutations emerge when you stress the virus in different ways. The goal was prediction. If we know how a virus might evolve, we can develop countermeasures in advance. But the process requires you to create those evolved forms, to bring into existence things that might not appear in nature for decades or centuries. What if one of those synthetic evolutionary endpoints is what got out? I'm getting ahead of myself. We don't know that anything got out. We don't know what was in the lab at the time. I'm speculating and I shouldn't. But that shelter-in-place order keeps nagging at me. Avoid contact with anyone displaying unusual symptoms. What symptoms? Respiratory distress? Bleeding? Neurological changes? Emily just found something. A grant proposal from 2 years ago, publicly available through the university's research database. Dr. Chen's team was studying what they called limbic system targeting. The idea was that certain viral proteins could preferentially affect the emotional centers of the brain. The limbic system, that's where fear and pain processing happen, where fight or flight responses originate. The proposal talked about how viruses that reduce fear responses in their hosts might have evolutionary advantages. An infected animal that doesn't fear predators, doesn't feel pain, might actually spread the virus more effectively because it doesn't hide or rest. It keeps moving, keeps interacting with others. It's fascinating from a theoretical standpoint, terrifying from a practical one. I need to slow down. I'm connecting dots that might not be connected. There are a dozen different projects at that facility. This could be completely unrelated to Dr. Chen's work. It's 7:48. The sun's fully up now. It's going to be a beautiful day outside. Inside this studio, I'm watching emergency vehicles pass by the window. 3 ambulances just went by heading north. Lights on, no sirens. That's interesting. Lights, but no sirens usually means you're responding to a situation but not an active emergency, or you don't want to cause panic. I've done this long enough to know that the absence of information is itself information. It's been over 3 hours since the initial incident. In that time, we should have had multiple updates, a press conference, clear communication about what's happening. Instead, we're getting vague alerts and busy signals. That suggests one of two things. Either the situation is so under control that they don't feel the need to communicate, which seems unlikely given the lockdown, or it's complicated enough that they're still figuring out what to say. I'm betting on option 2. Emily's monitoring police scanner traffic now. County dispatch is using encrypted channels, which they only do during sensitive operations. We can hear bits and pieces on the open channels, units being positioned at various intersections, checkpoints they're calling them, traffic control point. Why do you need checkpoints for a laboratory incident? A listener just emailed. She works at a pharmacy about 5 miles from Harrington. Says they got a call from county health department asking about their inventory of certain medications, antivirals specifically, oseltamivir, ribavirin, a few others. They wanted to know quantities on hand and how fast they could get more. That's a data point. Antivirals means they're thinking about a viral infection. The specific ones they're asking about cover a range of possibilities. Oseltamivir for influenza, ribavirin for hemorrhagic fevers, and some other RNA viruses. They're preparing for treatment scenarios. That's good. It means they're being proactive. It also means they think treatment might be necessary. It's coming up on 8 o'clock. Morning news programs should be picking this up soon. Let me check the national feeds. Nothing yet. This is still a local story, but give it time. Once the morning shows get wind of a university lockdown and a possible biohazard situation, they'll be all over it. How Dr. Chen is doing, if she was in the building when this happened, if she's in quarantine now watching everything she worked for turn into a crisis. I remember her passion when we talked, her conviction that this research would save lives. The precautions she described seemed so thorough, but precautions only work until they don't. Emily just handed me something, a screenshot from an internal university email that someone forwarded to us. I can't verify its authenticity, but it's worth sharing. Sent at 7:33 this morning from the university president's office to department heads. Quote, all faculty and staff are to remain off campus until further notice. Do not attempt to retrieve personal items from offices. Do not make unauthorized statements to media. This is a fluid situation requiring coordinated response. Updates will be provided through official channels only. Anyone who is in or near the biological sciences complex between the hours of 10 p.m. last night and 5 a.m. this morning must report immediately to the county health department for screening. That time window is significant. 10 p.m. to 5 a.m. That's 7 hours. Whatever happened didn't just happen at 4:30 when the evacuation started. Something was going on for hours before that. I'm trying to imagine what that must have been like. Working the night shift in the lab, maybe one person, maybe a small team, running experiments, monitoring equipment. Then something goes wrong. Maybe a gauge reads abnormal, maybe an alarm sounds. You follow the procedures, you check the containment systems, everything looks okay, but something's not right. Do you call someone? Do you trust the equipment? At what point do you realize this isn't a minor glitch, that something real is happening? And then you're faced with a choice. Hit the emergency alarm and evacuate, which triggers a massive response potentially for nothing. Or try to fix it yourself, keep it quiet, avoid the embarrassment and bureaucracy if it turns out to be a false alarm, or what choice was made. I wonder if that choice cost time. It's 8:09. Traffic is heavy on all routes now as people try to figure out alternate ways around the RE12 closure. Oak Street through town is stop and go. The bypass is moving but slow. If you're heading to work and your route takes you anywhere near the university, plan for delays. I'm seeing the first national news pickup now. Wire service brief, just a couple paragraphs. University lockdown due to laboratory incident. Investigation ongoing. It'll be on the major network soon. Emily's phone is ringing constantly. Other media outlets wanting to know what we know. I've told her to share what we've confirmed and nothing else. There's enough confusion without adding speculation to the mix. Although I'll admit it's hard not to speculate, the pieces we have don't quite fit together yet. Laboratory incident plus shelter in place plus checkpoints, plus antiviral inventory checks plus federal response. Each piece makes sense individually, but together they paint a picture that's concerning. I keep coming back to that alert language. Avoid contact with anyone displaying unusual symptoms, not specific symptoms. Unusual ones that suggest they're not entirely sure what to look for. That whatever this is, it might not present like typical infection. Fever and cough, those are usual symptoms. What's unusual? Behavioral changes, neurological symptoms, something visible that makes a person look different. I really need to stop speculating. But it's 8:15 in the morning and I've been on the air for over 2 hours talking about something we don't fully understand. The mind wanders, connects threads. Let me give you some practical information. If you're a parent of a Harrington student, the university has set up a dedicated information line. Emily's putting the number in our show notes. They can't give you specifics about the incident, but they can confirm your student's status and location. If you work at the university, the Human Resources Department is asking all employees to check in via their online portal. Just confirm that you're accounted for and report whether you were on campus during that 10 p.m. to 5 a.m. window. If you live within a 5-mile radius of the campus, the county health department wants you to be alert but not alarmed. Their words, not mine. Monitor for symptoms. Maintain good hygiene. Avoid large gatherings if possible. But don't panic. Don't flood emergency rooms unless you're actually sick. That last point is important. During any public health scare, the worried well overwhelm medical facilities. People with every little sniffle convince themselves they've been exposed. Hospitals can't function if they're flooded with people who don't actually need treatment, so be sensible. If you've got no symptoms and no known exposure, you're probably fine. Stay informed, stay cautious, but don't let fear drive your decision. It's 8:26 now and Emily's waving at me. She's got someone from the University Public Information Office. Finally, okay, so I'm being told that a press conference is scheduled for 9:30 this morning. Location is the County Administration Building, not on campus. The university president will be there along with representatives from the Health Department and Emergency Management. They'll provide an update on the situation and take questions. 9:30, that's over an hour away. They're asking us to hold our questions until then. I appreciate them getting back to us, but that doesn't really help right now. People want answers now, not in an hour. But that's how these things work. You gather all the stakeholders. Make sure everyone's telling the same story. Prepare for the questions you know are coming. It's crisis management 101. The fact that they're doing it at the county building and not on campus is telling. They want neutral ground. They want a signal that this is bigger than just a university matter. Multiple agencies involved. Coordinated response. They'll be watching that press conference. We'll probably cut to it live when it starts. In the meantime, I'm going to try to get more information from other sources. Emily's checking with contacts at other universities that have similar research facilities. We want to know if they're being told anything, if there are any precautionary measures being taken elsewhere. Sometimes the response at other locations tells you about the threat level. It's 8:33 and I'm Daniel Rothman on 104.7 FM. We're following a developing situation at Harrington University, where a laboratory incident early this morning has led to a campus-wide lockdown. A press conference is scheduled for 9:30. We'll bring you that live. I'm looking at social media again, and the mood is shifting. Early posts were curious, even joking. Now they're scared. Students posting about hearing helicopters, about seeing people in hazmat suits going building to building, about food deliveries being canceled. One post says security is going door to door in the dorms taking temperatures. Another says they're asking health screening questions. A third claims someone in their building was taken away by medical personnel. I can't confirm any of that. Could be true. Could be exaggeration. Could be complete fiction. That's the problem with social media during a crisis. Signal-to-noise ratio goes way down. But if even half of it is true, the university is conducting active screening of the entire campus population. That's thousands of people. That takes resources. That takes coordination. You don't do that for a minor incident. Emily found something else. Flight tracking data shows multiple government aircraft in the area. 2 helicopters and a small jet, all with registrations linked to federal agencies. They arrived between 6 and 7 this morning. Federal response times vary depending on the perceived threat. For them to scramble aircraft and have boots on the ground within hours of the initial incident means this was flagged as high priority immediately. I'm trying to remember what triggers federal involvement in local situations. Terrorism, obviously, interstate crimes, and public health emergencies that cross certain thresholds. If the pathogen involved is on certain watch lists, if it has bioweapon potential, if it poses a significant threat to public safety, federal agencies have jurisdiction. The CDC has a special response team for exactly these situations. They can deploy within hours to anywhere in the country. They bring expertise, equipment, and authority to lock things down if necessary. I think that's who we're seeing. CDC Rapid Response. It's 8:45. Normally at this time I'd be taking calls, doing the morning chat segment, but I think we need to stay focused on this situation. If you want to call in with information, if you have direct knowledge of what's happening, Emily's monitoring the phone, but I'm not going to put people on air to speculate or spread rumors. We need to be responsible. People are listening. People are making decisions based on what they hear. I can't add to the confusion. Let me tell you about what happens during a biological containment scenario. I've been reading about this for the past few years, ever since COVID made everyone aware of how quickly things can spread. The first goal is always to limit exposure. You identify the hot zone, the area of potential contamination, and you seal it. Nobody in or out until you know what you're dealing with. That's why the biological sciences complex is locked down tight. Then you identify the warm zone, areas that might have been exposed but aren't directly contaminated. You restrict movement, monitor anyone who is there. That's the campus lockdown. Everyone stays put until they're cleared. Outside that, you have the cold zone. That's us. The general public. Low risk, but not no risk. Especially if we don't know yet whether anyone carried the pathogen out of the warm zone before the lockdown went into effect. The question is always, how far out do the zones extend? How conservative do you need to be? If I were making that call, if I were the incident commander for this situation, I'd be looking at transit patterns. Did anyone leave campus between the initial incident and the lockdown? Where did they go? Who did they interact with? The university is residential, so most students were probably asleep in their dorms, but there are commuter students. Faculty who live off campus, night maintenance staff who finished their shifts and went home. You have to find all of them, you have to check on all of them, and you have to do it fast before anyone who might be infected has time to spread whatever it is. This is where contact tracing comes in, and it's hard, really hard. People don't remember everyone they stood next to in line at the coffee shop. They don't know the names of everyone at the gas station. You're trying to reconstruct a web of human interaction, and there are always gaps. Emily just showed me something from the county GIS system. They've activated the emergency alert zones. That's the system they use for weather warnings, amber alerts, that sort of thing. Zone 1 is the immediate campus area. Zone 2 extends about 3 miles out. Zone 3 covers most of the county. Right now, only Zone 1 is active. That's good. It means they're not expanding the alert area yet, but those zones exist for a reason. They're ready to go if needed. It's 9 o'clock, half an hour until the press conference. I'm going to try to get a few questions answered before then. Emily, can you call the state health department, see if they're involved? And try the CDC. I know it's a long shot, but maybe they'll at least confirm whether they have people on site. State Health is referring us to county. CDC Public Affairs says they're aware of the situation but can't comment. That's a yes. They're there. They just can't officially say so yet. I'm watching the news feeds now. The story's getting picked up nationally. Headlines are cautious. University lockdown. Laboratory incident. Investigation underway. The word outbreak hasn't appeared yet. Neither has pandemic. Those are the words everyone's afraid to use. Because once you say outbreak, once you say pandemic, you can't take it back. The public response changes, markets react. People make decisions based on fear rather than facts. So everyone's being very careful with language. Incident, situation, precautionary measures. These are calm words, measured words. The kind of words you use when you want people to pay attention but not panic. But I keep thinking about that grant proposal. Limbic system targeting, viruses that affect fear response, pain processing. If something like that got out, if people got infected with something that literally changes how they perceive threat and pain, what would that look like? You'd have people who don't feel sick even though they are, people who don't recognize they're injured, people who don't respond normally to danger. You'd have people who keep moving, keep interacting when they should be resting. Perfect vectors for spread. And if it progresses, if it starts shutting down higher cognitive functions while leaving basic motor control intact, you'd have, I'm not going to finish that thought. I'm really not. Because that enters territory that's purely speculative and probably wrong and definitely not helpful. It's 9:12, 18 minutes until the press conference. Emily's setting up the feed now so we can cut to it live. I'm getting a text from a listener who's a nurse at Mercy General. She's asking if I've heard anything about what they're supposed to be preparing for. Says the emergency department is being cleared of non-critical patients. They've set up isolation rooms and they're double-checking their negative pressure system. I tell her what I know, which isn't much. She says that's more than they've been told. The hospital administration is being tight-lipped. Just told them to prepare for a potential infectious situation and follow universal precautions. Universal precautions, that's the baseline. Assume everything's contaminated. Protect yourself accordingly. Gloves, masks, eye protection, standard procedure for any patient when you don't know their status. But if this was something truly dangerous, something highly contagious or deadly, they'd be using enhanced precautions, full isolation gear, maybe even positive pressure suits depending on transmission method. The fact that they're sticking with universal precautions suggests the threat level is moderate, concerning but not catastrophic, or it means they don't know yet what they're dealing with and they're starting with standard protocol until they have more information. It's 9:18 now. Any minute they'll start the press conference. I'm going to hold off on commentary until we hear what they have to say. Emily's got the feed up. That's a room in the county administration building. I recognize it. They use it for commissioners' meetings. There's a podium with microphones. Several people are moving around, getting things set up. I can see the university president, Gerald Thornton. He looks tired. Next to him is County Administrator Patricia Walsh, and there's a woman I don't recognize in a dark suit. Federal, probably. The room is filling with reporters. Local media, some I recognize, others I don't. Camera crews setting up. The energy in the room looks tense. Here we go. Someone's stepping to the podium. It's Patricia Walsh. She's thanking everyone for coming, acknowledging the concern and confusion. She's introducing the people on the panel. President Thornton, Dr. Michael Santos from the County Health Department, and yes, Dr. Jennifer Hartman from the Centers for Disease Control. CDC is officially confirmed. That's significant. Walsh is handing it over to Thornton. He's clearing his throat, adjusting the microphone. He's starting with an acknowledgement that this has been a difficult morning for the university community. He's confirming that there was an incident at the Biological Sciences Complex involving a laboratory containment system. He's saying that the university's emergency protocols worked as designed and the building was evacuated immediately. He's emphasizing that the safety of students and staff is the top priority. The shelter-in-place order remains in effect while they assess the situation. He's asking for patience and cooperation. Now he's turning it over to Dr. Santos from the health department. Santos is a bit more specific. He's confirming that there was a failure in one of the HEPA filtration systems serving a virology research laboratory. The failure was detected at approximately 4:11 this morning by automated monitoring systems. The building's emergency response activated automatically, sealing the affected area and alerting security. Personnel in the building at the time, he's saying there were 3 researchers and 2 security officers, were immediately evacuated and are currently in medical isolation for observation. None are showing symptoms at this time. As a precaution, he's saying the decision was made to lock down the campus to prevent any potential secondary exposure while the extent of the primary exposure is determined. He's being asked what was in the laboratory. He's saying he can't disclose specific details about ongoing research, but he can confirm it involved viral samples that require biosafety level 3 containment. A reporter is asking about risk to the public. Santos is saying that based on preliminary assessment, the risk to anyone not in the building at the time of the incident is minimal. The containment failure was localized and brief. The building's secondary containment systems function properly. Someone's asking about the shelter-in-place order. If the risk is minimal, why the lockdown? Santos is explaining that it's standard procedure for any potential exposure scenario. They need to monitor everyone who might have had contact with the 5 individuals who were in the building until those individuals complete an observation period and are confirmed negative for infection. The precautionary measures stay in place. How long is the observation period? Someone asks. Dr. Hartman from CDC is taking that one. She's saying it depends on the specific pathogen involved, but they're working with a 72-hour window for initial monitoring. If no symptoms develop in the primary exposure group within 72 hours, the risk of secondary transmission drops significantly. 72 hours. 3 days. That's how long the campus stays locked down at minimum. A reporter is asking what symptoms they're watching for. Hartman is being vague. She's saying it varies by pathogen, but they're monitoring for any signs of infection, respiratory, neurological, or systemic. Neurological? There it is. That word that's been nagging at me. Someone's asking directly if this involves the accelerated evolution research. President Thornton is stepping in. He's saying he can't comment on specific research projects, but he wants to assure everyone that all research at the university is conducted under strict ethical and safety guidelines with full regulatory oversight. That's a non-answer, which probably means yes. The questions are coming faster now. Is this related to bioweapon research? No. Could this spread beyond the campus? Unlikely with current containment measures. Should nearby residents evacuate? No, that's not necessary at this time. At this time, those qualifier words matter. Dr. Santos is wrapping up. He's saying they'll provide updates every 6 hours until the situation is resolved. He's asking the public to avoid the campus area and to report any unusual symptoms to their healthcare provider. The press conference is ending. Less than 15 minutes. They gave us just enough to seem transparent without actually telling us much. I'm back. It's 9:34 and you just heard what I heard. The official story is a localized containment failure, 5 people in medical isolation, campus on lockdown for 72 hours while they monitor the situation. That's the best case scenario. And maybe it's true, maybe this really is contained, and in 3 days they'll give the all clear and life goes back to normal. But there are some things that don't quite add up. If only 5 people were exposed and they're all in isolation, why lock down the entire campus? Santos said it was to monitor people who might have had contact with those 5. But surely they know who those 5 people are and who they might have encountered. You don't need to lock down thousands of people to monitor a handful of contacts unless they're not sure. Unless the time between exposure and isolation was long enough that those 5 people could have been anywhere, done anything, touched anything, or unless there's more to it than 5 people. Emily's pulling up the timeline based on what we just heard. The filtration system failed at 4:11 a.m. Let's say it takes a few minutes for the alarm to sound, for people to realize what's happening, for the evacuation to start. The building was sealed by 4:30 according to early reports. That's about 20 minutes. But Santos also mentioned automated monitoring systems detected the failure. So the system knew immediately. Why did it take 20 minutes to evacuate? Maybe that's how long the evacuation procedures take. Maybe people had to shut down experiments, secure materials, go through decontamination protocols. 20 minutes isn't unreasonable. Or maybe it took time to understand what had failed and how serious it was. I wish they'd been more specific about what's in that lab. BSL-3 pathogens cover a wide range. We're talking about diseases that can cause serious illness but for which treatments generally exist. HIV, West Nile virus, yellow fever, SARS, all BSL. But if you're doing accelerated evolution research, you're not working with the natural forms of those viruses. You're working with variants that might be more transmissible, more resistant to treatment, more virulent. You're working with things that don't have names yet. It's 9:46. I need to check in on the local situation. Emily, what are we hearing from around town? She's saying it's quiet, eerily quiet for a Tuesday morning. Businesses that normally have steady traffic are empty. The schools are seeing higher than usual absenteeism. Parents keeping kids home out of abundance of caution, even though the schools are miles from campus. Fear is contagious. Even when the actual threat is contained, the fear of it spreads. I'm seeing some concerning posts now from people claiming to have left campus before the lockdown. A commuter student who was there for an early study session and drove home around 5 a.m. A maintenance worker who finished the night shift at 6. They're asking if they need to do anything, if they should go to the hospital. If I were them, I'd call the county health department and explain the situation. They might want to do precautionary monitoring. Better safe than sorry. The problem is the health department is probably overwhelmed right now. They're trying to track down everyone who was on campus, everyone those 5 isolated individuals might have contacted, plus fielding calls from worried citizens. Their phone lines must be completely jammed. Emily's trying to call them now just to see. Busy signal. As expected. It's 9:53 and I'm Daniel Rothman on 104.7 FM. We've just heard from officials about the situation at Harrington University. The laboratory containment failure has led to 5 people being placed in medical isolation and the entire campus being locked down as a precaution. The observation period is 72 hours. Let me read between the lines a bit because I think there's more here than what was said. First, the fact that CDC deployed personnel this quickly tells us they're taking this seriously. CDC doesn't scramble for routine laboratory accidents. They respond to threats. Second, the neurological monitoring that Dr. Hartman mentioned. Most infectious diseases don't primarily affect the nervous system. The fact that they're specifically watching for neurological symptoms suggests they know something about what might have been released. Third, that 72-hour window. That's oddly specific. Different diseases have different incubation periods. Influenza, you're looking at 1 to 4 days. COVID was up to 14 days. Ebola can be up to 21 days. So why 72 hours? Unless that's how long it takes for this specific thing to show symptoms, unless they know exactly what they're dealing with and they know its progression timeline. I think they know more than they're saying. I think they know what was in that lab and what the potential effects are. They're just not ready to share that information publicly yet. And I understand why. If you tell people there's a virus loose that affects the brain, that causes neurological symptoms, people are going to panic. They're going to imagine worst-case scenarios. Better to wait until you have all the facts, until you know for sure whether anyone is actually infected. But the not knowing is hard. The waiting is hard. It's 10:04. Traffic has thinned out now that morning rush is over. The Road 12 closure is still in effect and will be for the foreseeable future. If you need to get anywhere near that area, plan your route accordingly. I'm getting reports of a police presence at the train station. County sheriff deputies checking IDs, asking people where they're coming from. That's new. That wasn't happening an hour ago. They're looking for people who might have been at Harrington, trying to identify anyone who left campus before the lockdown. Smart, but also a little disturbing. It suggests they're worried about spread beyond the immediate area. Emily just got a message from someone at one of the roadblocks. They're calling them health screening checkpoints now. Officers are asking if you've been to Harrington in the past 24 hours. If you have, they're directing you to a mobile medical station for evaluation. This is expanding. The response is growing. Let me check the national news again. Seeing more coverage now. It's still being reported as a university lockdown following a laboratory incident, but the tone is shifting. Words like concerning and developing situation are appearing. Comparisons to other laboratory accidents. There was one at Texas A&M in 2006. A researcher got infected with brucellosis. There was the SARS outbreak in Beijing in 2004 that was traced back to a laboratory. And more recently, there have been concerns about biosafety at research facilities in the wake of COVID. Laboratory accidents happen. They're rare, but they happen. The question is always how quickly you catch them and how effectively you respond. Based on what I'm seeing, the response here has been aggressive and rapid. That's good, that's what you want. But it also suggests the threat is real. It's 10:18 and I need to take a quick break. When we come back, I want to talk about what you should be doing if you're in the surrounding area. Not to scare you, but to prepare you. We'll be right back. Okay, we're back. It's 10:26 and this is Daniel Rothman on 10. I want to talk practically for a few minutes about preparedness. Not because I think this situation is going to escalate, but because it's always good to be ready. If you don't have one already, now is a good time to put together a basic emergency kit. Water, non-perishable food, first aid supplies, medications you need, flashlight, battery radio, enough to get you through a few days if you need to stay home. Make sure you have a plan for communication. If cell networks get overloaded, text messages often still go through when calls don't. Establish a check-in system with family members. If you take regular medications, make sure you have enough on hand. Pharmacies might get busy if people start stocking up. And most importantly, stay informed but don't obsess. Check reliable sources for updates. Official government channels, establish news organizations. Avoid getting sucked into social media panic spirals. Your mental health matters. Anxiety is understandable in uncertain situations, but try to keep perspective. Right now, we have a contained incident with a small number of potentially exposed individuals. That could change, but that's where we are now. Emily's showing me something. The university has just updated their student portal. They're providing meal delivery to dorms. Students are being asked to stay in their rooms as much as possible. Bathroom breaks and essential movement only. That's more restrictive than the initial shelter-in-place order. They're tightening things. Someone on the university's emergency response team just posted to social media against policy, probably going to get in trouble for it. They're saying there's been a development. They won't say what, just that the situation has changed in the last hour. That's concerning. The press conference was less than an hour ago. What's changed since then? Emily's trying to get someone official to comment. Nothing yet, but I trust that source. They have no reason to lie. It's 10:38. I'm watching the local news stream and they're reporting from outside the campus. The perimeter has been expanded. Security checkpoints that were half a mile from campus are now a full mile out. More personnel arrive. The reporter says it looks like they're setting up a larger operation. That's not consistent with a contained, minimal risk situation. I need to be careful here. I don't want to cause panic, but I also need to be honest about what I'm seeing. And what I'm seeing is a response that's growing, not shrinking. Let me try to get Dr. Santos on the phone or someone from the county. We need clarification on what's happening. Emily's calling. Voicemail. His office says he's in an emergency meeting and can't be disturbed. Emergency meeting. Barely an hour after the press conference where he said everything was under control. I'm going to say something and I want you to take it seriously but not panic. I think we're not getting the full picture. I think the situation at Harrington is more complicated than we've been told. That doesn't mean it's out of control. That doesn't mean you're in danger. But it means you should be alert. Pay attention. Be ready to act if you need to. If officials issue any kind of evacuation order or tell you to shelter in place, do it immediately. Don't wait. Don't question. Just do it. If you start feeling sick, any kind of sick, call your doctor. Don't ignore symptoms. And if you see anything unusual, anything that seems wrong, report it. Trust your instinct. It's 10:49. I'm going to stay on the air as long as I need to. Cancel my afternoon plans. Cancel everything. This is where I need to be. Emily just got a text from a friend who works campus security at Harrington. I'm going to read this exactly as she sent it. Quote, things are getting weird. They won't tell us what's happening, but they're suiting us up. Full hazmat. They're going building by building. I don't know what we're looking for, but everyone's tense. Someone said they found something, but I don't know what. I'm scared. Full hazmat. Building by building. They found something. I need to think about what that means. You search building by building when you're looking for someone or something. When you don't know where it is. When you need to clear each space systematically. What are they looking for? An infected person? Multiple infected people? Evidence of spread? Or something worse? I keep coming back to that grant proposal. The limbic system targeting research. Viruses that affect fear and pain response. What would that look like in a person? Reduced fear means reduced self-preservation. Pain and sensitivity means you might not notice you're hurt. And if higher cognitive functions start to shut down while basic motor control remains, no, I'm not going there. That's speculation based on partial information. I could be completely wrong. But I'm also a journalist who's been doing this for 17 years, and my gut is telling me something is very wrong. It's 11:03. The sun is high now, fully up. Outside my window, the world looks normal. traffic moving, people going about their lives. It's hard to reconcile that with what I'm hearing about the situation at Harrington. That's the thing about these situations. They're localized. The whole world doesn't stop. Just you're part of it. I'm seeing something on the police scanner now. Units being called to an address about 3 miles from campus. Someone reported a disturbance. Details are unclear. That might be nothing. Domestic dispute, mental health crisis, who knows? But the timing and location are concerning. Emily's monitoring emergency services. She's noting an uptick in calls in the area around campus. Nothing dramatic, but more than usual for a Tuesday morning. I want to talk to Dr. Chen, the virologist whose research I keep coming back to. I want to know if she was one of the 5 people in the building. I want to know what she was working on specifically. But the university isn't releasing names of the isolated individuals. Privacy concerns, which I understand, but it makes it hard to get answers. Let me try her office number. It's a long shot, but worth a try. No answer. Not even voicemail. The line just rings. It's 11:12, and I'm starting to feel like I'm chasing ghosts. Every lead goes nowhere. Every question gets non-answers. The official story is contained incident, minimal risk, precautionary measures. But everything I'm seeing suggests it's more than that. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm seeing patterns that aren't there. Maybe the response is just being extra cautious because of the nature of the facility and the research involved. But then why lie? Why say minimal risk if the response suggests significant risk? Unless they're trying to prevent panic while they get things under control. Unless they think they can still contain this if people just stay calm and cooperate. That would make sense. That would be the responsible thing to do. I want to believe that. I want to believe the people in charge have this handled. Emily's getting another text from her security contact at Harrington. Just one word, lockdown. I ask her what that means. Isn't the whole campus already locked down? She's calling her friend back. Phone's going straight to voicemail now. That's the thing that's scaring me more than anything else. The communication blackouts. First the university switchboard, then university officials. Now individual phones on campus. Either the network is overloaded or someone's jamming communications. Neither option is good. It's 11:23. I need to make a decision about how to handle this broadcast. Do I keep reporting what I'm seeing and risk causing panic? Or do I stick to official statements and risk not warning people adequately? I've always tried to be responsible, to verify before I report, to avoid speculation. But sometimes you have to trust your judgment. You have to trust what you're seeing even if you can't prove it yet. I think something is loose at Harrington University. I think it's more than 5 people. I think it's spreading. And I think we're not being told because they're still hoping to contain it. I hope I'm wrong. I really do. But I'm going to keep broadcasting. I'm going to keep sharing what I learn. Because you deserve to know. You deserve to make informed decisions about your safety. Emily just showed me live traffic camera feeds. The roads around campus are empty now. Not just light traffic, empty. That's not normal for midday. And there's movement on the campus itself. She's zooming in, vehicles moving between buildings, people in protective suits, a lot of them. That's not 5 people in medical isolation. That's a major operation. It's 11:31 and I'm Daniel Rothman. I'm going to stay with you through this. Whatever this is, we'll figure it out together. I'm going to try one more time to get someone official to talk to us. Emily, call every number we have. County, state, CDC, university. Someone has to give us something. She's dialing. Busy, busy, voicemail, busy. One of them is ringing. Someone picked up. Emily's talking. She's explaining who we are, that we need information for the public. She's listening. Her face is changing. She's hanging up. What did they say? She's pale. She says the person told her to stop calling. That information will be released when appropriate. That unofficial inquiries are hampering the response. Like we're the problem. I understand they're busy. I understand we're probably one of dozens of media outlets calling. But that's what happens during a crisis. People want to know what's going on. Unless they don't want us to know. Unless they're actively trying to control the information flow. That's standard crisis management. You don't tell people the worst case scenario while you're still trying to prevent it. You give them the minimum information necessary to ensure compliance with safety measures. But there's a line. There's a point where withholding information becomes dangerous, where people need to know the truth so they can protect themselves. I think we're approaching that line. It's 11:47. Emily's monitoring social media from Harrington students. The posts are getting more desperate. People saying they're hungry because meal delivery hasn't come. Others saying they're hearing screaming from other buildings. One claiming they saw someone being dragged out of a dorm by people in hazmat suits. I can't verify any of that. Could be panic. Could be exaggeration. Could be true. Someone just posted a video. It's shaky, shot from a dorm window. You can see the quad area. There are multiple figures in protective suits. They're moving fast, purposefully. One of them is carrying what looks like medical equipment. Another is speaking into a radio. The video cuts off abruptly. The post says their RA made them delete it and threaten disciplinary action if they posted anything else. The university is controlling information from the inside too, preventing students from sharing what they're seeing. That's their right, technically. It's a private campus during an emergency, but it's also suspicious. What are they trying to hide? It's 11:56. Almost noon. I've been on the air for nearly 6 hours straight. My voice is getting hoarse, coffee's cold, but I'm not stopping. Emily hands me a note. The county has just activated their emergency operations center. That's a big step. That's what you do when regular management structures aren't sufficient. It brings together all the agencies, creates a unified command structure. I checked the county website. Sure enough, there's an announcement. The EOC is operational as of 11:45. They're coordinating response to, quote, an ongoing public health situation, not incident, situation. That's a meaningful word choice. Situations are bigger than incident. The announcement says they'll be holding another press briefing at 1 p.m. That's just over an hour from now. Maybe we'll get real answers then. Or maybe we'll get more carefully worded reassurances that everything's under control. I'm watching the news feeds and they're starting to pick up on the inconsistencies. National reporters who know how these things work are asking the same questions I am. If it's contained, why the growing response? If it's minimal risk, why the federal deployment? One network has a biosecurity expert on. He's being diplomatic, saying it's likely just an abundance of caution, but he's also noting that the response pattern is unusual. Typically, he says if a containment breach is truly minor, you see response scaled down after initial assessment. Here, it's scaling up. That's an expert with no stake in this saying what I've been thinking. It's 12:09. My phone is ringing, unknown number. I'm going to answer it. This is Daniel Rothman. The voice on the other end is distorted, like someone's using a voice changer or a bad connection. They say they're calling from inside the quarantine zone at Harrington. They say they have information the public needs to know. I ask them to identify themselves. They won't. They say it's not safe. I tell them I can't use anonymous sources without verification. They say fine, then people die uninformed. They hang up. Emily saw my face. What was that, she asks. I don't know. Could be a prank. Could be someone genuinely scared trying to get information out. Could be a set, but it's eating at me. What if they had real information? What if I just shut down the only inside source we might get? I have to stick to journalistic ethics. I can't report unverified information from anonymous sources. That way lies chaos and misinformation. But damn, I wish I knew what they were going to say. It's 12:15, and I'm Daniel Rothman on 104.7 FM. We're waiting for another press conference at 1 p.m. In the meantime, I want to circle back to some practical advice. If you're in the area around Harrington University within 5 to 10 miles, here's what I recommend. Stay home if you can. Work from home, keep kids home from school. Avoid unnecessary trips out. This might be overly cautious, but cautious is better than sorry. If you must go out, practice good hygiene, wash hands frequently, avoid touching your face, maintain distance from others. Stock up on essentials if you haven't already, but don't hoard. Get a reasonable amount of food, water, medications, enough for a week or two, but leave some for others. Keep your gas tank full, have cash on hand, make sure your phone is charged, and most importantly, stay connected to reliable information sources. Monitor local news, official emergency alerts. Don't rely solely on social media. These are just sensible precautions. They're what you do for any potential emergency. They don't mean disaster is imminent. They just mean being prepared. Emily's showing me the State Health Department website now. They've posted a FAQ about the Harrington situation. Let me read through it. Q. What happened at Harrington University? A. There was a mechanical failure in a laboratory containment system. The building was evacuated and the situation is being assessed. Q. Am I at risk? If you were not on the Harrington campus between 10 p.m. Monday and 6 a.m. Tuesday, your risk is minimal. Q. Should I go to the hospital if I feel sick? Only if you have severe symptoms or known exposure. Call your doctor first. Q. Is this contagious? A. The investigation is ongoing. If any infectious material was released, it was contained to the building. That last answer bothers me. If any infectious material was released, that's not the same as saying nothing was released. That's saying if something was released, it stayed in the building. But we know at least 5 people were in the building. We know they were evacuated. How can the material be contained to the building if people left? Unless they went through decontamination before leaving. Unless they were in protective equipment, unless the exposure was so brief and minimal that they're confident nothing got on them. But then why isolate them for 72 hours? The pieces don't fit. The official story has holes. It's 12:32, half an hour until the press conference. Emily's making sure we've got the feed ready. I'm getting texts from listeners now. People are scared. They want to know if they should leave the area, if they should pick up their kids from school, if they should cancel plans. I tell them what I've been telling everyone. Be cautious. Be prepared. But don't panic. One listener asks if this could be like COVID, if we're at the beginning of another pandemic. I hope not. I really hope not. The world barely survived COVID. I don't think we could handle another one so soon. But if this is an engineered virus, something created in a lab through accelerated evolution, it could be worse than natural viruses. It could have characteristics that don't exist in nature, or it could be less dangerous. Lab viruses sometimes don't survive well outside controlled conditions. They're optimized for the laboratory environment, not for transmission in the real world. I don't know enough about virology to say which is more likely. It's 12:41. Emily's getting a call from someone at the state health department. Finally, someone willing to talk. She's on speaker now. The voice is professional, measured. They're confirming that the state has deployed additional resources to assist with the situation at Harrington. Mobile medical units, additional personnel, logistical support. Emily asks why. If the risk is minimal, the voice says it's standard procedure for any potential biological exposure. Better to have resources in place and not need them than vice versa. She asks about the expanding perimeter, the checkpoints, the building-to-building searches. The voice says those are precautionary measures to ensure complete documentation of anyone who might have been exposed. Emily pushes. Are more than 5 people infected? The voice hesitates, then says infected is the wrong word. No one has been confirmed to have any active infection. The 5 individuals in medical isolation are being monitored as a precaution. But you're searching buildings. You're checking people. Why? The voice says they need to account for everyone who was on campus during the window of potential exposure. It's thorough contact tracing. Emily thanks them and hangs up. We look at each other. That was a lot of words that didn't really answer anything. It's 12:53. 7 minutes until the press conference. I'm going to hold off commentary until we hear what they have to say. But I'm keeping a list in my head. A list of questions that aren't being answered. A list of inconsistencies. And that list is getting longer. The feed is coming up, same room as before, but the panel looks different. More people this time. I recognize Dr. Santos and Dr. Hartman from CDC. But there are others. A man in a military-style uniform. A woman who looks like law enforcement. And someone in a suit who I'm betting is either FBI or Homeland Security. This is a bigger deal than this morning. The players have changed. Patricia Walsh is back at the podium. She's thanking everyone for their patience. She's acknowledging that there's been a lot of speculation and confusion. She wants to provide clarity. She's introducing the panel. Dr. Santos, we know. Dr. Hartman, we know. The uniformed man is Colonel Marcus Webb from the National Guard. The law enforcement woman is Special Agent Lisa Morrison, FBI. The suit is Deputy Director Richard Klein from Homeland Security. National Guard, FBI. Homeland Security. This is federal now. This is big. Walsh is handing it over to Deputy Director Klein. Klein is speaking now. He's got a deep voice, very controlled. He's thanking state and local partners for their cooperation. He's confirming that this situation has been designated as a federal public health emergency as of noon today. Federal public health emergency. That's an official classification. That triggers federal powers and resources. He's saying that out of an abundance of caution, they're expanding the containment zone. A 3-mile radius around Harrington University campus is now under restricted access. Residents in that area are being asked to remain in their homes until further notice. 3 miles. That's thousands of people. That's residential neighborhoods, businesses, schools. Someone's asking why, if the risk is minimal. Klein is saying that new information has come to light in the past few hours that warrants enhanced precautionary measures. He's not able to share all the details as the investigation is ongoing, but he wants the public to know that every resource is being brought to bear. A reporter is asking what new information. Klein is deflecting. Operational security can't compromise the investigation. We'll share more when appropriate. Another reporter asks directly, are people infected? Klein pauses. He's choosing his words carefully. He's saying that there has been confirmation of exposure beyond the initial 5 individuals. How many he won't say, but contact tracing has identified additional persons who may have been exposed to the released material. Released material, not potentially released. Released. It's confirmed now. Dr. Hartman is taking over. She's explaining that the pathogen involved is a research variant that doesn't exist outside laboratory settings. It has characteristics that require special attention. A reporter asks, what characteristics? Hartman is saying she can't be specific, but it involves neurotropic properties. That means it affects the nervous system. Neurotropic, there it is, confirmed. Someone asks if this is the brain-eating virus that social media is talking about. Hartman looks annoyed. She says, absolutely not. This is not a Hollywood movie. This is a real public health situation that requires serious, measured response. Sensationalizing helps no one. But she's not denying the neurological component. She's just saying it's not what people are imagining. Colonel Webb is speaking now. He's saying the National Guard has been activated to assist with logistics and security. They're helping establish the containment perimeter, deliver supplies to people who need to shelter in place, and maintain order. Maintain order. That's an interesting phrase. Is there disorder that needs maintaining? He's saying that anyone who attempts to leave the restricted zone without authorization will be detained for medical evaluation. This is for everyone's safety. Special Agent Morrison is talking now. FBI's role, she says, is to investigate any potential criminal activity related to the incident. They're looking into whether proper safety protocols were followed, whether there was any negligence or intentional wrongdoing. So this might be someone's fault. Someone might face charges. The press conference is opening up to questions. They're coming rapid fire. How many people are exposed? Can't say specifically, more than a dozen. What are the symptoms? Early stages show behavioral changes, disorientation, loss of pain response. Is this fatal? Unknown. It's a novel variant. They're learning as they go. Can it spread person to person? Under investigation, but precautions assume it can. Should people outside the zone be worried? Not at this time. Containment measures are robust. How long until this is resolved? Impossible to say. The mood in that room has shifted. This morning's press conference was reassuring, calming. This one is tense, defensive. The reporters smell blood. Klein is wrapping up. He's urging calm, cooperation, compliance with all official directives. He's saying they'll provide updates every 4 hours until the situation stabilizes. Every 4 hours. That's more frequent than before. That suggests rapid evolution of the situation. The feed cuts. We're back to the studio. It's 1:26 and I'm Daniel Rothman. You just heard what I heard. This is bigger than we were told this morning. A lot bigger. We have confirmation of a release of biological material. We have confirmation of exposure beyond the initial 5 people. We have a 3-mile restricted zone with thousands of people being told to stay home. We have National Guard deployment, FBI investigation, Homeland Security taking charge. This is a major incident. This is the kind of thing that makes national headlines and stays there for weeks. And we still don't know the full scope. Let me break down what we learned. The pathogen is a research variant, something created in the lab. It's neurotropic, meaning it affects the brain and nervous system. Early symptoms include behavioral changes, disorientation, and loss of pain response. More than a dozen people have been exposed. That last point is important. This morning they said 5, now it's more than a dozen. That's growth, that's spread. Either those initial 5 people had contact with others before being isolated, or there was wider dispersal from the initial release than they thought. Neither option is comforting. The 3-mile restricted zone is significant. That's not just the campus. That includes surrounding neighborhoods. Emily's pulling up a map now. The zone includes part of downtown, several residential areas, 2 shopping centers, at least 3 schools. We're talking about maybe 10 to 15,000 people being told to stay home. Have they been notified? Are they getting supplies? What about people who have medical needs? Colonel Webb said they're delivering supplies. The National Guard is equipped for that. They can set up distribution points, do door-to-door delivery if needed. But this is America. You can't just lock down part of a city and expect everyone to comply willingly. There will be people who try to leave, people who panic, people who don't believe it's serious. That's why he mentioned detention. They're prepared to stop people from leaving. This is getting into civil liberties territory. I'm not a legal expert, but I know there are laws about quarantine and public health emergencies. The government has powers during disease outbreaks that they don't normally have, but that doesn't make it less concerning. We're seeing armed checkpoints, movement restrictions, communication control, in the name of public safety, yes. But still, it's 1:39. Emily's monitoring police scanners. She's hearing activity at the restricted zone perimeter, Someone tried to drive through a checkpoint. They were stopped and removed from their vehicle, just like they said would happen. I'm seeing social media posts from people inside the zone. Confusion, anger, fear. Some are complying, others are talking about their rights, about refusing to be imprisoned in their own homes. I understand both reactions. Following orders makes sense when there's a real threat. But how do you know the threat is real if you're not seeing it? If your street looks normal and your neighbors seem fine, that's the challenge with biological threats. They're invisible until they're not. By the time you can see the danger, it's often too late. I would tell anyone in that zone, comply, stay home. It's probably nothing. Probably just extreme caution. But if it's not nothing, if there really is something dangerous spreading, you want to be inside, away from it. Don't be the person who ignores the warning and becomes patient zero for the next cluster. It's 1:46 and I need to think about sustainability here. I've been on air for almost 8 hours. I'm going to need to take breaks, eat something, stay sharp. Emily can cover for short periods. She's not a trained broadcaster, but she can read updates, keep the station running. But I don't want to leave the mic for long. This situation is evolving too fast. Things could change in the 15 minutes it takes me to grab food, so I'll work in short breaks, 5 minutes here, 10 minutes there, enough to stay functional. Emily's handing me a sandwich. She ordered delivery earlier, anticipating a long day. Smart. I'm eating on air. Not professional, but these aren't normal circumstances. You'll forgive me. I'm watching the traffic cameras again. The restricted zone perimeter is clearly visible now. Barriers, vehicles, personnel in protective equipment. It looks like a scene from a disaster movie, but it's real. It's happening 3 miles from where I'm sitting. It's 1:58. I'm getting a message from a listener who lives just outside the restricted zone. She's asking if she should leave town, take her kids and go somewhere else until this is over. That's a tough question. On one hand, creating distance between you and a potential threat makes sense. On the other hand, fleeing during an outbreak can spread disease to new areas. It's how local outbreaks become regional epidemics. The official guidance is to stay put unless ordered to evacuate, but I understand the instinct to run. If I were her and I had the means, I might quietly relocate to somewhere safe. Not flee in panic, but calmly remove my family from the area. Go stay with relatives in another state. Work remotely if possible. But I can't say that on air. I can't encourage people to ignore official guidance. So I tell her to follow her best judgment while respecting the directives from authorities. It's a non-answer, but it's the best I can do. It's 2:12. I'm seeing reports of traffic building on roads out of the county. People are leaving, despite being told not to. This is the problem with fear. It overrides logic. People hear restricted zone, National Guard, federal emergency, and they panic. They grab their kids and their valuables and they run. And you can't entirely blame them. The communication from authorities has been inconsistent. First it was minimal risk, now it's federal emergency. That whiplash erodes trust. If they'd been transparent from the beginning, if they'd said, we don't know the full scope yet, but we're taking it seriously, people might be more willing to follow guidance now. Instead, we got hours of reassurances followed by a sudden escalation. That feels like dishonesty, even if it's just uncertainty. Trust is the foundation of crisis response. When people trust authorities, they comply with directives. When they don't, you get chaos. I hope we're not heading toward chaos. It's 2:26. Emily's monitoring emergency services radio. She's hearing calls about a disturbance at one of the perimeter checkpoints. Someone refusing to turn around, trying to force their way through. This is going to keep happening. People will test the boundaries, some out of fear, some out of defiance, some just because they don't believe it's real. And each time authorities have to decide how to respond, use force, arrest people, or let them through and risk spreading whatever this is. I don't envy anyone making those decisions. Let me check the national news. This is the lead story now on every major network. Headlines are dramatic, lockdown, outbreak, emergency. The word quarantine is being used, even though officially it's a restricted zone. The distinction doesn't matter to most people. You can't leave your quarantine. Expert panels are discussing it, comparing it to other outbreaks, speculating about what this research virus might be. Everyone's using the word unprecedented, and they're right. A lab-created pathogen escaping containment affecting the nervous system, requiring National Guard deployment. This hasn't happened before. Not like this. It's 2:41 and I'm Daniel Rothman on 104.7 FM. I'm going to take a very brief break. 5 minutes. Emily will be here. If anything major happens, we'll interrupt immediately. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. It's 2:48. Nothing major in the last few minutes. Just the steady drumbeat of updates, official statements, speculation. I used those few minutes to check in with some contacts. A friend at the state capitol says the governor is being briefed hourly. There's talk of declaring a state of emergency for the county, which would unlock additional resources and powers. Another contact at a hospital about 20 miles from here says they've been told to prepare for possible patient transfers. That suggests the facilities closer to Harrington might be overwhelmed or compromised. All these little data points, individually they might not mean much. Together they paint a picture of a system mobilizing for something big. It's 3:02. The next official update isn't until 5 p.m. That's almost 2 hours away. A lot can happen in 2 hours. I'm going to try to fill the time usefully. Let me talk about what we know about neurotropic viruses. The nervous system is incredibly complex. Your brain and spinal cord control everything, from your heartbeat to your thoughts to your ability to feel pain. Viruses that specifically target nervous tissue can cause a wide range of effects depending on which parts of the system they affect. Some neurotropic viruses cause inflammation of the brain, encephalitis. Others affect the spinal cord, causing paralysis. Some affect specific regions responsible for particular functions. The research Dr. Chen was doing, according to that grant proposal, involved limbic system targeting. The limbic system is sometimes called the emotional brain. It's a set of structures deep in the brain that handle emotions, memories, and basic drives. Fear response, pain perception, aggression, social behavior, all of that comes from the limbic system. If you had a virus that specifically targeted those structures, you could see changes in personality, behavior, emotional regulation. Someone infected might become more aggressive or less fearful or unable to process pain. From a research standpoint, studying that is fascinating. It could lead to treatments for anxiety disorders, chronic pain, PTSD, but if it gets out, if people are actually infected with something that alters their fundamental emotional responses, the results could be catastrophic. Imagine someone who doesn't feel fear. They walk into traffic without hesitation. They approach dangerous situations without caution. They don't flee from threats. Now, imagine that person is also infected with a contagious disease. They don't self-isolate. They don't avoid others. They keep interacting normally because they don't perceive the risk. Perfect transmission vector. And if higher cognitive functions start to fail, if the reasoning and decision-making parts of the brain shut down while basic motor control remains, you get something that looks like The Walking Dead from fiction. I'm not saying that's what's happening. I'm not saying this is a zombie virus. That's absurd. But I am saying that a virus affecting the limbic system and higher cognition could produce behavior that seems zombie-like to an outside observer. Reduced fear, no pain response, impaired judgment, basic locomotion intact. And that's almost worse.
It's 3:23. I need to stop speculating. I'm scaring myself and probably scaring listeners.
Let me focus on facts. What do we know for certain? There was a containment breach at a virology laboratory. A research variant virus was released. More than a dozen people have been exposed. The pathogen affects the nervous system. A 3-mile zone around the campus is restricted. National Guard is deployed. Federal agencies are in charge. Those are facts. Everything else is speculation. If this virus spreads beyond the current containment, what happens? Best case, it's not very contagious. The dozen or so exposed people either don't get sick or recover quickly. Containment holds. We go back to normal in a week or two. Worst case, it's highly contagious and the people already exposed have been spreading it for hours or days before the lockdown. The containment zone expands. More cities, more states. Supply chains disrupted. Society strained. Middle case, somewhere between those extremes. Limited spread, mostly contained, but with clusters popping up that require local lockdowns and contact tracing. I don't know which scenario we're in, nobody does yet. We're in the early hours of something that could go any direction. That uncertainty is terrifying. It's 3:38. Emily's showing me something from the Harrington student forums. Someone managed to get a message out despite the university's restrictions. They're describing conditions inside the dorms. Food delivery stopped hours ago. People are hungry. Some are sick, though it's not clear if it's actual infection or just stress and fear. The poster says they can hear activity outside. People shouting. Equipment being moved. Helicopters overhead. They say a student from another building was taken away by people in hazmat suits. Someone who was acting strangely aggressive and confused. If that's true, if the infection is already showing in people, that's concerning. The press conference said behavioral changes and disorientation were early symptoms. If students are exhibiting those already, the incubation period is short, hours, not days. Fast incubation means fast spread, but I can't confirm this. It's an anonymous post on a student forum. Could be true, could be panic, could be fabrication. I'm torn between wanting to share everything I find and wanting to maintain journalistic standards. I'll mention it as unconfirmed. Let listeners know it's out there but not verified. It's 3:49, less than an hour until the next press conference. I wonder what they'll tell us this time. Will they admit the situation is worse? Will they expand the restricted zone? Will they tell us how many are actually infected? Or will we get more careful non-answers and reassurances that everything's under control? I'm getting cynical. That's not helpful. These officials are dealing with an unprecedented situation. They're trying to manage a genuine crisis while preventing mass panic. That's not easy, but transparency would help. The truth, even if it's scary, is better than the void of uncertainty we're in now. It's 4:03. Traffic on roads out of the county is reportedly backed up for miles. People aren't waiting for official evacuation orders. They're making their own decisions. I wonder if that's wise. If there are infected people in that traffic leaving the area, they're seeding the disease elsewhere. But if I were in the restricted zone and I had the chance to leave before it got worse, would I stay? Honestly, I don't know. I'd like to think I'd be civic-minded, that I'd follow the rules for the greater good. But I have to protect myself too. This is the individual versus collective dilemma that every outbreak presents. What's best for you personally might not be best for society, and vice versa. It's 4:16. Emily's getting reports of the restricted zone perimeter being reinforced. More vehicles, more personnel. They're expecting people to try to breach it. That makes sense. As the situation worsens, the incentive to escape increases. People will do desperate things. I hope it doesn't come to violence. I hope people respect the checkpoints and stay put. But hope isn't a strategy. It's 4:28. I'm seeing social media chatter about gunshots heard near the campus. Multiple people reporting it. Could be National Guard firing warning shots. Could be something else. Could be nothing, just nerves making people hear things that aren't there. Emily's checking emergency services. Nothing about shots fired. If it happened, it wasn't reported officially, or it was reported on encrypted channel. It's 4:41. Less than 20 minutes until the press conference. I'm going to gather my thoughts, prepare questions I'd ask if I were in that room. First, how many people are actually infected? Not exposed, infected, showing symptoms. Second, what is the transmission method? Airborne, contact, bodily fluid. Third, what is the fatality rate? Are people dying? Fourth, how far is it spread? Is it still just the campus, or has it reached the surrounding community? Fifth, what's the end game? How does this end? Vaccine development, quarantine until it burns out, what? Those are the questions that matter. I doubt we'll get clear answers, but they need to be asked. It's 4:57, the feed is coming up, same room, same people for the most part, but there are new faces, medical personnel in the background. The mood looks even more tense than this afternoon. Patricia Walsh is starting. She looks exhausted, her voice is strained. She's giving the basics. They've been working around the clock to manage the situation. Resources continue to pour in. They're grateful for the public's cooperation. She's handing over to Deputy Director Klein. Klein's face is grim. He's not even trying to smile or look reassuring. He's confirming that the situation has evolved. The number of confirmed exposures has increased to 47 individuals. Of those, 23 are showing early symptoms. 47, that's a huge jump from more than a dozen just a few hours ago. 23 symptomatic. That's almost half. Someone asks what the symptoms are specifically. Dr. Hartman takes that one. She's describing changes in affect, meaning emotional expression, reduced response to pain stimuli, confusion and disorientation. In some cases, aggressive or agitated behavior. A reporter asks if anyone has died. Hartman hesitates. She says they have had one fatality, an individual who was in the laboratory at the time of the release and received a high dose of exposure. One dead. The first death. How did they die, someone asked. Hartman says it was neurological failure. The virus caused rapid inflammation and degradation of brain tissue. The individual became unresponsive and died within hours of symptom onset. Rapid progression. That's terrifying. From exposure to death in hours, but she's also saying that was a high-dose exposure. The people who were exposed secondarily, who got lower doses, might not progress as quickly, might not die at all, might. She's not saying won't. Colonel Webb is speaking now. He's saying the restricted zone is being expanded to a 5-mile radius as of 6 p.m. today. That's in just over an hour. 5 miles, that's tens of thousands of people. Why, someone asks. Webb says they've identified potential exposures outside the original 3-mile zone. Contact tracing has revealed that some of the symptomatic individuals had traveled outside the initial perimeter before becoming ill. So it's spreading. It's out. Special Agent Morrison is addressing the criminal investigation. She's saying they've determined that the containment failure was due to improper maintenance of the HEPA filtration system. Filters that should have been replaced quarterly were years overdue. Multiple safety protocols were not followed. Someone's going to jail for this. Once the crisis is over, someone's going to face charges. But that doesn't help us now. Klein is wrapping up. He's urging everyone in the expanded zone to shelter in place immediately. Do not attempt to travel. Do not gather in groups. Stay home, stay isolated, wait for further instruction. He's saying that supplies will be delivered. Medical care will be available, but movement must be restricted to prevent further spread. The press conference ends abruptly. Klein doesn't take the usual final questions. He just walks off. That's not a good sign. That's a man who has more important things to do than reassure the media. It's 5:21 and I'm back. That was sobering. 47 exposures, 23 symptomatic, 1 dead, expanding to 5 miles. This is growing, it's spreading, it's killing, and we're still in day 1. Less than 12 hours since the initial incident. If this growth rate continues, if the numbers keep doubling every few hours, we could be looking at hundreds or thousands of cases in days. I don't know if the containment measures will be enough. I hope they are. But I'm preparing myself for the possibility that they won't be. Emily's looking at the map of the 5-mile zone. It includes most of the northern part of the county, residential areas, commercial districts, schools, hospital. We're inside that zone. This radio station is about 4.5 miles from Harrington campus. We're inside the restricted area. It's 5:32. I'm processing what that means. As of 6 p.m. in less than 30 minutes, we're supposed to shelter in place, not leave the building. But I'm a broadcaster. This is a radio station. We're essential communications. Surely that exempts us. Emily's calling the County Emergency Operations Center to clarify. Are media exempt from the shelter order? She's on hold, waiting. I'm watching the streets outside through the studio window. Traffic is picking up. People who heard the news who know they have less than 30 minutes to get out before the zone locks down. There's going to be a rush. A mad scramble for the exit. Emily's off hold. She's talking to someone. She's taking notes. She hangs up. Her face tells me the answer before she speaks. No exemptions. Everyone shelters in place, media included. But we can continue broadcasting from our current location. We're considered essential communications. We just can't leave. So I'm here for the duration, however long that is. I need to call my family, make sure they're safe, make sure they know what's happening. I'm stepping away for 5 minutes. Emily's taking over. I'll be right back. I'm back. That's 5:43. I spoke to my wife. She's at home with our kids. They're south of here, outside the 5-mile zone. For now, she's scared. I told her to stay put, to have supplies ready, to be prepared to shelter for a while. I told her I love her. Told the kids I love them. I don't know when I'll see them again. Focus. I need to focus. It's 5:51. 9 minutes until the expanded restricted zone takes effect. I'm watching the roads. The traffic is eased. Either everyone who was going to leave has left or people have given up trying. The perimeter checkpoints are visible on traffic cameras. They're ready. Barriers in place. Personnel standing by. At 6 p.m., this part of the county becomes a closed zone. No one in, no one out. I'm inside. Emily's inside. We're here for however long this takes. It's 5:58. 2 minutes. I'm thinking about what this means. We're cut off from the outside world physically, but we still have communications, internet, phones, radio. We can still broadcast, still share information. That's our role now. We're the voice inside the zone. We tell people outside what's happening in here. We tell people inside what they need to know to survive. It's 6 p.m. The zone is locked. I'm Daniel Rothman, and I'm not going anywhere. It's 6:04. The streets are empty now, eerily quiet for early evening. A few minutes ago, you could see cars, people, movement. Now it's like a ghost town. The psychological effect of a lockdown is immediate. People disappear into their homes. The world shrinks to your 4 walls. I've got the studio. Emily's got the station building. We have equipment, supplies, communications. We're better off than most, but we're still trapped. Emily's checking our supplies. Food, water, first aid kit. The station has a small break room with a refrigerator and some cabinets. We've got maybe a week's worth of food if we're careful. After that, we're dependent on the promised deliveries. Assuming those happen. Assuming the people making deliveries don't get sick. Assuming the supply chain doesn't break down. I'm trying not to think too far ahead. 1 hour at a time. 1 day at a time. It's 6:17. The next official update isn't until 9 p.m. 3 hours. I need to figure out how to fill that time usefully. Can't just sit here in silence. People need information, distraction, reassurance. Let me talk about preparedness, about what to do if you're sheltering in place. First, take stock of what you have. Food, water, medications, batteries, anything you might need. Make a list. Second, ration sensibly. You don't know how long this will last. Don't eat all your food in the first few days. Fourth, stay connected. Call friends and family. Check on neighbors, carefully and from a distance. Social isolation is hard. Don't let physical isolation become social isolation too. Fifth, monitor your health. Check your temperature daily. Watch for symptoms. If you start feeling sick, call the health department hotline. Numbers on the county website. 6. Stay informed, but don't obsess. Check news a few times a day. Don't spend all day refreshing Twitter. That way lies anxiety and madness. These are basic tips, but they matter. This might be a long haul. It's 6:31. Emily's monitoring police scanner. Activity is picking up. Multiple units responding to calls within the restricted zone. One call is about someone showing symptoms. Disoriented, aggressive behavior. Medical unit it's starting. The abstract threat is becoming real. It's 6:46. I'm seeing posts from people inside the zone. Fear and anger are the dominant emotions. Some are blaming the university. Why was this research being done? Why weren't safety protocols better? Others are blaming the government. Why weren't we warned earlier? Why lock us in? Blame is a natural response to fear. We want someone to be at fault because if someone's at fault, it means this could have been prevented. But we can't change the past. We can only deal with the present. It's 7:03. The sun is setting. Gonna be dark. There's something about nightfall that makes crises feel worse. The darkness seems to amplify fear. I'm gonna stay on air through the night as long as I can, as long as my voice holds out. People need to hear a human voice. Need to know they're not alone. Emily's brewing more coffee. We're gonna need it. It's 7:19. Getting reports of power outages in parts of the restricted zone. Could be routine infrastructure issues. Could be something else. If the virus is affecting workers, if electrical maintenance crews are getting sick, infrastructure could start failing. That would be catastrophic. No power means no refrigeration, no lights, no internet. Communication becomes nearly impossible. I hope it's just a temporary thing. A transformer blown, easily fixed, but I'm not counting on it. It's 7:36. Emily just got a text from a friend inside the zone. Power's out in their neighborhood. They're using candles. Phone battery at 20%. They're asking what to do. I tell Emily to tell them to conserve phone battery, turn off unnecessary apps, lower screen brightness, use it only for essential communications. Have flashlights ready. Candles are okay, but be careful. Fire is a risk. Stay calm. Power might come back soon. Might. It's 7:52. More power outage reports coming in. It's spreading. Either the grid is failing or someone's shutting down sections deliberately. I don't know which is worse. Without power, the night is going to be very dark, very quiet, very scary. I'm glad we have backup generators here at the station. We can keep broadcasting even if the grid goes down. For now. It's 8:09. Full dark outside now. The streets are invisible. No lights anywhere that I can see from the window. Just darkness. It's like the world ended. It's 8:26. The silence is oppressive. Usually at this time of evening you hear traffic, people, life. Now there's nothing. Just me talking into a microphone hoping someone's listening. Emily's checking our generator fuel. We have enough for maybe 48 hours of continuous operation. After that we go dark too. I'm trying not to think about that. It's 8:43. Almost time for the 9 p.m. update, assuming it happens. Assuming the officials are still organized enough to hold a press conference. A lot can happen in 3 hours during a crisis. Emily's got the feed ready. We're waiting. It's 8:59. The feed is up, but it's different this time. It's not the county administration building. It's somewhere else. Looks like a command center. Banks of monitors, people working in the background. Deputy Director Klein is there. He's the only one in frame. No panel, no introduction. He looks worse than before. Tired, stressed. He's speaking without preamble. The situation has continued to evolve, he says. The number of confirmed cases is now at 78, 41 symptomatic. The growth is accelerating. 2 more fatalities, he says. Both from high-dose exposures. 3 dead total now. The restricted zone remains in effect. No one enters or leaves without medical clearance. He's addressing the power outages. Some infrastructure has been compromised. They're working to restore it. In the meantime, emergency generators are being deployed to critical facilities. Someone off camera asks a question. I can't hear it clearly. Klein's response is sharp. No, evacuation is not an option. Moving infected individuals would spread the disease. Containment is the priority. Another question. Klein's face hardens. Casualties are expected in any outbreak. We're doing everything possible to minimize loss of life, but people need to understand the seriousness of this situation and comply with directives. He ends the press conference abruptly. just walks away from the camera. That was less than 5 minutes. That was barely an update. Things are falling apart. The official response is struggling to keep up with the reality on the ground. It's 9:07, 78 cases, 41 symptomatic, 3 dead, and those are just the confirmed cases. How many more are out there not yet identified? How many people are infected but not showing symptoms yet? The exponential growth curve is terrifying. This morning it was 5. This afternoon, 47, now 78. By tomorrow morning it could be hundreds. It's 9:23. I'm hearing something outside. Faint, but definitely something. Voices maybe. Hard to tell. Emily's listening too. She hears it. We can't see anything. Too dark. But something's out there. I'm not going to investigate. That would be stupid. We stay here. Stay safe. But it's unnerving. It's 9:41. The sounds have stopped. Whatever it was, it's gone. Or quiet. I keep thinking about those symptoms. Behavioral changes, loss of fear response, aggression. If infected people are wandering around out there, they wouldn't stay home. They wouldn't shelter in place. They'd be out, driven by confused impulses, no understanding of danger. And if you encounter one, what do? The health department says to call for medical assistance. But what if medical assistance is overwhelmed? What if they can't respond in time? You're on your own. And if an infected person is aggressive, if they're not responding to reason, do you defend yourself? Do you run? Do you hide? These are questions I never thought I'd have to think about. It's 10:04. It's been over 4 hours since the zone locked down. It feels like days. Time dilates during crises. Minutes stretch, hours blur. I'm tired, physically and mentally, but I can't stop. People are listening. I can see the station metrics. Listenership is up 500% from normal. People are tuning in for information, for comfort, for a human voice in the darkness. I won't let them down. It's 10:28. Emily's monitoring social media. Posts from inside the zone are getting more desperate. People running out of food, others too scared to leave their rooms. Some talking about loved ones showing symptoms. One post from a parent saying their teenage son is acting strange. Won't respond to them, just staring. They don't know what to do. Another post describes hearing screaming from a neighbor's house. They want to help, but they're afraid. These are real people facing impossible choices. Help a neighbor and risk exposure, or stay safe and live with the guilt. I don't know what I'd do. It's 10:46. I need to address something that's been nagging at me. The speed of this progression, from initial exposure to symptoms in hours, from symptoms to death in some cases just as fast. That's not normal for any virus I know of. Even rabies, which is almost always fatal and affects the brain, takes days to weeks to kill. Ebola takes a week or more. Even the fastest acting toxins take time. But this research variant, engineered through accelerated evolution, seems to work faster than anything natural. That makes sense in a horrible way. If you're forcing a virus to evolve rapidly in a lab, you're selecting for traits that help it survive and reproduce. Speed of infection is one of those traits. The faster it can take over a host, the faster it can spread to new hosts. Natural evolution has constraints. A virus that kills its host too quickly doesn't spread well because the host dies before transmitting it. So, natural selection favors viruses that keep the host alive long enough to infect others. But in a lab, those constraints don't exist. You can create something that burns through a host in hours because you're not worried about transmission. You're just studying mutation patterns. Except now it's out. Now transmission matters, and we don't know if this thing can spread efficiently or if it's going to burn itself out. It's 11:09. I'm hearing those sounds again. Definitely voices this time. Multiple people. Outside somewhere in the darkness. They're not speaking in coherent sentences, just sounds, moaning, maybe, or calling out. Emily's scared. I can see it in her face. She's moved away from the window. I should probably do the same. We're sitting in the middle of the studio now, lights on but curtains drawn. We can't see out. Can't see what's making those sounds. Maybe that's better. It's 11:33. The sounds are closer now. Definitely multiple people. They seem to be moving through the area. I'm trying to stay calm, trying to keep my voice steady for the broadcast. But my heart is pounding. Emily's pulled up the security camera feeds. The station has cameras on the exterior. She's cycling through them. There. On the north camera, movement. It's hard to see in the darkness, but there are figures. 3 or 4 of them. Moving erratically, stumbling but not falling. Like they're drunk or disoriented. One of them is wearing what looks like a Harrington sweatshirt. Students. Or they were students before. They're infected. They have to be. The behavior matches what we've been told. Disoriented, wandering, no apparent fear or caution. They're passing by the building, not approaching the doors, just moving through. Where are they going? Do they even know? Or are they just moving? Following some degraded instinct, some basic drive, that's all that's left of their higher function. It's 11:51. The figures have moved on. We can't see them on any of the cameras now. But knowing they're out there, knowing that infected people are wandering the streets, that changes everything. This isn't abstract anymore. This isn't numbers on a press conference. This is real, immediate danger just outside our door. Emily's checking that all the doors are locked. We're secure here. The building is solid, doors are heavy. We should be safe. Should be. It's 12:06. Past midnight now. We've crossed into Wednesday. Less than 24 hours since the initial incident, and everything has changed. I need to think about sustainability. Not just for the broadcast, but for us personally. We might be here for days, weeks, even. Food and water we've already assessed. We're okay for about a week if we're careful. Power, we've got the generator, 48 hours of fuel. After that, we'd need a resupply. The county promised deliveries to people sheltering in place. I hope that includes us. Sanitation. We have bathrooms. As long as water pressure holds, we're fine. If it doesn't, things get difficult. Security. The doors are locked. We have no weapons. If someone infected or otherwise really wanted to get in, I don't know if we could stop them. Mental health. That's the one I'm most worried about. Being trapped, watching this unfold, no end in sight. That wears on you. We'll need to support each other. Emily and I, keep each other sane. It's 12:29. I should probably try to sleep at some point, but I don't want to leave the microphone. Don't want to stop broadcasting. Maybe Emily can take over for a few hours. Let me rest. Then I come back. We'll work in shifts. Keep the station on air 24/7 for as long as we can. Emily's nodding. She'll take the 3 a.m. to 6 a.m. shift. Let me get some sleep. But first I need to make it to 3 a.m. 2.5 more hours. I can do that. It's 12:51. Getting a few scattered reports from outside the restricted zone. People hearing about what's happening, getting scared, leaving their homes even though they're not in the restricted area. Panic spreads faster than disease sometimes. Hardware stores reporting runs on supplies. Generators, batteries, canned food. The same panic buying we saw during COVID, but faster, more intense. Because this is different, COVID was scary, but it was invisible. Abstract for most people until it affected them personally. This is visible. Armed checkpoints, National Guard, people wandering the streets in altered mental states. You can see the threat. That makes it more real, more terrifying. It's 1:14. I'm reading reports from other research facilities around the country. They're all reviewing their safety protocols, making sure their filtration systems are maintained. Double-checking containment procedures. Closing the barn door after the horse is gone, but better late than never. There's already talk in Congress about new regulations for biological research, stricter oversight, more frequent inspection. That's good. That should have been in place already. But at least it's happening now. Not that it helps us. Not that it helps the 78 confirmed cases or the 3 dead or the thousands trapped in the restricted zone. It's 1:37. I'm fading. The adrenaline that's been keeping me alert is wearing off. The exhaustion is catching up. 2 cups of coffee in the last hour. Doesn't seem to be helping much. Emily says I should try to rest. Even just closing my eyes for 20 minutes would help. Maybe she's right. I'm going to step away, just for 20 minutes. Emily will keep things going. If anything major happens, she'll wake me. I'm setting an alarm. 20 minutes. I'm back. It's 2:33. I couldn't sleep. Tried to lay down on the break room couch, close my eyes, but my brain won't shut off. Every sound makes me think infected people are breaking in. Every silence makes me worry we've lost power and the broadcast has gone dark. So I'm back at the microphone. Might as well be useful if I can't rest. Emily looks relieved. I think she was nervous about handling the broadcast alone. It's 2:56, almost 3 a.m. The dead of night. This is when fear is strongest, when rational thinking is hardest, when every shadow seems threatening. I'm watching the security cameras. Nothing moving outside. The streets are empty as far as we can see in the limited range of our cameras, but I know they're out there. The infected, wandering, confused, dangerous. How many now? The last count was 78 confirmed cases, but that was over 5 hours ago. At the rate this is growing, it could be 150 by now, 200. And we won't know until the next official update. If there is a next official update, what if the officials themselves are infected? What if the Emergency Operations Center is compromised? What if we're on our own? It's 3:21. I'm spiraling. I can feel it. The lack of sleep, the stress, the fear. It's affecting my thinking. I need to focus on what I can control. The broadcast. Keeping people informed. Staying alive. Everything else is beyond my control. Emily's made more coffee, strong and black. It tastes like ash, but I drink it anyway. Caffeine and willpower, that's what I'm running on now. It's 3:48. The sky should start getting light in a couple of hours. Sunrise around 6:30 this time of year. I'm looking forward to daylight. Even if it reveals things I don't want to see, at least I'll be able to see them. This darkness is oppressive. It hides too much. It's 4:11. I'm seeing reports on social media from other parts of the country, people following this story, worried it might spread to their areas. Some are calling for a complete lockdown of the region. No one in or out of the entire state. Others are saying that's an overreaction. This is contained to one county. No evidence of spread beyond the restricted zone. They're both right and both wrong. Yes, it's currently contained, but containment can fail. People left the area before the lockdown. They could be carriers. And yes, extreme measures might be premature, but waiting until it's clearly out of control is too late. There's no good answer, just a series of bad options and worse options. It's 4:36. Getting a message from the County Emergency Operations Center. They're pushing out an alert. Residents of the restricted zone are advised to stay indoors at all times. Do not open doors or windows. Do not engage with anyone exhibiting unusual behavior. If you see someone who appears to be symptomatic, report it immediately via the emergency hotline. The hotline number is included. I'm repeating it now for anyone listening. Call if you see someone symptomatic. Don't approach them yourself. That's new guidance. Earlier they just said to call for medical assistance if you felt sick. Now they're telling people to report others. That means they're doing active collection. Going door to door maybe, or at least trying to identify and isolate symptomatic individuals. It's a massive undertaking. In a zone with tens of thousands of people, how do you find all the infected ones? How do you get them into isolation before they spread it further?
You can't.
Not really. All you can do is try to slow the spread. Buy time for a treatment or vaccine to be developed, if that's even possible. It's 5:03, about an hour and a half until sunrise. I'm holding on. Emily's dozing in the corner. I told her to rest while she can. One of us should be functional. The coffee's gone cold, but I'm still drinking it. Anything to stay awake. It's 5:29. I'm thinking about Dr. Chen again, the virologist whose research started all this. Is she alive? Is she one of the 3 dead? Is she working around the clock trying to fix what she inadvertently released? I remember how passionate she was when I interviewed her. How certain that her work would save lives, prevent future pandemics by predicting how viruses might evolve. The irony is brutal. Her research meant to prevent outbreaks has caused one. I don't blame her. I don't think she was reckless or careless. Sometimes disasters happen despite all precautions. Sometimes the universe just aligns wrong. But I wonder how she feels. If she's alive, the guilt must be crushing. It's 5:54. The sky is beginning to light, just barely, a faint gray replacing the absolute black. In half an hour, we'll have real daylight. I can assess the situation outside, see what the night has brought. I'm nervous about what I might see. It's 6:17. The sun is rising. Light is spreading across the landscape. I'm looking out the window now. The studio is on the 2nd floor, so I have a decent view. The street below is empty. Abandoned cars here and there, parked haphazardly like their drivers left in a hurry. There's debris, papers, trash, things scattered. Like a wind blew through, or like people ran and dropped things. And there's something else. Dark stains on the pavement. Could be oil. Could be something worse. I don't see any people, living or otherwise. That's somehow more disturbing than seeing infected wandering around. At least that would be explicable. This emptiness feels wrong. Like the world ended overnight and we're the only ones left. It's 6:41. Emily's awake. She's looking at the security camera feeds, checking all angles around the building. She points at the east camera. There's someone there. I look. It's a person sitting on the curb about 50 yards from our building, just sitting, not moving. Are they alive? Infected? In shot? We can't tell from the camera. The angle's not good enough. Emily thinks we should call it into the emergency hotline. Report a person exhibiting unusual behavior. I agree. She's calling now. The line's busy. She tries again. Still busy. We'll keep trying. That person needs help, or needs to be contained. Either way, they need attention. It's 7:06. Emily's still trying the emergency line. Can't get through. The system must be completely overwhelmed. The person on the curb hasn't moved. They're just sitting there, head down. It's heartbreaking and terrifying at the same time. It's 7:29. Almost time for the next official update. They said every 4 hours. The last one was at 9 p.m. So the next should be at 1 a.m. But that didn't happen. So maybe now at 7:30. Emily's pulling up the feed. We're waiting. Nothing yet. The feed is showing a please stand by message. That's not good. Either they're running late or there's not going to be an update. It's 7:43. Still no update. The feed is still on standby. I'm guessing we're not getting an official briefing this morning. Things have deteriorated too much. The officials are too busy managing the crisis to hold press conferences. We're on our own for information now, whatever we can gather from scattered sources, from what we can see and hear. That's terrifying. The official updates, even when they were vague and incomplete, at least gave us structure, a sense that someone was in charge. Without them, we're adrift. It's 8:07. The person on the curb has moved, stood up, took a few steps, then sat back down in a different spot. So, they're alive. Whether they're infected or just in shock, we can't tell. I wish we could help, but going out there would be suicide. If they're infected, we'd be exposing ourselves. If they're not, we might get infected trying to help them. The calculus of survival is brutal. It's 8:34. I'm scanning news feeds from outside the restricted zone. The story is everywhere. Front page of every major outlet. Breaking news alerts. Live coverage. But the information is sparse. Reporters can't get into the restricted zone. They're stuck at the perimeter, interviewing people trying to leave, getting vague statements from officials. The real story, what's happening inside the zone, that's not being told, except by us. We're inside, we're broadcasting, we're the only media actually inside the restricted area. That's a strange responsibility. We might be the only source of truth for what's really happening here. I need to make sure I'm accurate, need to verify what I can, need to be honest about what I don't know. People are counting on us. It's 9:02. Emily just noticed something on the security feed. The person who was sitting on the curb is gone. We check all the cameras, no sign of them. They either wandered off or someone came and got them. We were watching other feeds, checking news, and we missed it. I hope they got help. I hope they're okay. But I doubt it. It's 9:26. I'm getting texts from friends and family outside the zone. They've heard I'm inside. They're worried. I tell them I'm fine. I'm safe in the radio station. We have supplies. We're staying put. I don't tell them about the infected wandering the streets, about the bodies, about the fear that's gnawing at me constantly. They don't need that burden. It's 9:51. Still no official update. We're now 12 hours past the last briefing. That's an eternity in a crisis. Either the situation is so bad they can't spare the personnel for updates, or the command structure has broken down. Neither possibility is comforting. It's 10:17. Emily's monitoring emergency services radio. She's hearing scattered transmissions, units responding to calls, medical emergencies, disturbances. But the traffic is much lighter than yesterday. Fewer units responding, longer response time. The system is breaking down, not collapsed yet, but definitely straining. How long before it fails completely? Before there's no one to call, no one to respond? Maybe we're already there. It's 10:43. I'm looking at infection models. How diseases spread through population. The basic reproduction number, R0, tells you how many people each infected person will infect on average. If R0 is less than 1, the disease dies out. If it's greater than 1, it's spread. For COVID, R0 was around 2 to 3. Each infected person spread it to 2 or 3 others on average. For measles, one of the most contagious diseases we know, R0 is 12 to 18. I don't know what R0 is for this research variant, but given how fast it's spreading despite containment measures, I'd guess it's high, maybe very high, and that's terrifying. Because even with lockdowns, even with isolation, it's spreading. What happens if those measures fail? If people stop complying or can't comply? Exponential growth doesn't care about our efforts. It just keeps doubling. It's 11:14. I need to eat something. I've been running on coffee and adrenaline for hours. That's not sustainable. Emily's heating up some canned soup on the break room hot plate. We're rationing, but we still need to eat. The soup tastes like nothing. Or maybe I'm too stressed to taste it. But I force it down. My body needs fuel. It's 11:39. We're hearing sounds outside again. Vehicles. Multiple vehicles moving fast. I look out the window. Military trucks? 3 of them, moving down the street in convoy. They're going somewhere specific, maybe responding to an incident, maybe just patrol. It's reassuring to see them. Proof that the authorities haven't completely abandoned the zone. There's still some structure, some response. But 3 trucks, that's not many. Not for a zone with tens of thousands of people. It's 12:06, past noon now. I've been on air for over 24 hours with only brief breaks. My voice is getting hoarse. My thoughts are getting scattered. I'm making mistakes, stumbling over words, but I can't stop. Can't give up. Emily's suggesting I take a real break. A few hours of sleep. She'll handle the broadcast. I'm resistant, but she's right. If I push too hard, I'll collapse. Better to rest now while I can. I'm setting an alarm for 3 p.m., 3 hours, then I'm back. Emily's taking over the microphone. I hear her voice, tentative at first, then stronger. This is Emily Carson filling in for Daniel. He's taking a brief rest. We're still here, still broadcasting. We'll keep you updated on everything we know. I'm heading to the break room, to the couch, to try to sleep. Please let me sleep. I wake to Emily shaking me. The alarm didn't go off yet. Something's wrong. What is it? My voice is thick with sleep. You need to see this. I'm up, following her to the studio. It's 2:43. I got almost 2.5 hours, more than I expected. She's pointing at the security monitors, multiple screens showing different angles. Every screen shows the same thing. People, dozens of them, surrounding the building. They're not moving much, just standing there, swaying slightly. Some are looking at the building, others are looking at nothing. They're infected, they have to be. The behavior matches. But why are they here? Why surrounding us? They started gathering about 20 minutes ago, Emily says, just appearing, coming from different directions, all converging here. I'm watching the screens trying to understand, trying not to panic. Have they tried to get in? Not yet. They're just standing there.
I count them. 15, 20.
More appearing as I watch. We're on the second floor, I say, thinking out loud. Doors are locked. Windows are up here too high to reach from the ground. We should be okay. Should be. That word again. What if they try to break in? Emily's voice is shaking. Then we barricade ourselves. We have furniture. We can block the stairwell. I'm trying to sound confident, trying to project calm. But inside I'm terrified. Why are they congregating here? Is it the broadcast? Can they hear the radio? Are they drawn to the sound? Or is it something else? Some aspect of the infection that makes them gather, flock together? I don't know. And not knowing is the worst part. It's 3:01. The crowd outside is still growing. I count 30 now, maybe more. It's hard to tell. They're packed close together. None of them are trying to get in. Yet, they're just standing there, waiting. For what? I'm back on the microphone, broadcasting, describing what we're seeing. If anyone's listening, if anyone's in authority, we have a situation at the radio station on Elm Street. Multiple infected individuals surrounding the building. We're secure for now, but we need assistance. I don't know if anyone's listening. Don't know if help will come, but I have to try. It's 3:27. One of them is at the door now. Not trying to open it, just standing there, leaning against it. The others are starting to move more, shuffling around, bumping into each other, like they're getting agitated. Daniel, Emily's voice is tight. What do we do if they get in? They won't, I say, but I don't believe it. I'm looking around the studio. What can we use as weapons if we need to? There's a fire extinguisher on the wall, some heavy equipment. Not much. We're broadcasters, not fighters. It's 3:52. The noise outside is getting louder. They're making sounds now. Moaning, groaning, not words, just sounds. It's like nothing I've ever heard. Inhuman. Wrong. Emily's crying, quietly trying to hold it together, but crying. I put a hand on her shoulder. We're okay, we're safe up here. I hope that's true. It's 4:19. They're trying the door now. Multiple hands banging on it. The sound is loud, echoing through the building, but the door's holding. It's solid metal, designed to be secure. It should hold. Should. I'm watching the security monitors. The crowd has grown to maybe 40 or 50, all of them infected, all of them focused on the building now. This is a nightmare. This is everything I feared made real. It's 4:41. The banging has stopped. They've moved away from the door. For a moment I think they're leaving, that whatever compulsion brought them here has passed. Then I see them on the cameras. They're gathering around the side of the building where the generator is. No, the generator is in a locked enclosure, but it's not designed to withstand a determined assault. It's meant to keep out weather and casual vandals, not a mob of infected people. If they damage the generator, we lose power. We lose the broadcast. We lose our connection to the world. It's 4:58. I can hear them working at the generator enclosure, rattling the fence, pulling at it. How do they even know it's important? Do they understand what they're doing, or is it just random destruction? I don't know. I don't understand the level of cognition these infected people have. They're not completely mindless. They're walking and moving with purpose. But they're not rational either. It's like they're operating on instinct, base drives, with the higher reasoning stripped away. It's 5:13. The rattling at the generator has stopped. I'm watching the cameras. They're back at the main door, all of them, gathering together. Then as one, they start pushing, not banging, pushing, putting their combined weight against the door. The door is strong, but it's not designed for 50 people pushing simultaneously. I hear metal creaking. Emily, we need to barricade the stairwell. Now, we're moving. Grabbing furniture, a desk, chairs, anything we can use. The stairwell is internal, narrow. We can block it, make it hard for them to come up even if they get through the main door. We're working fast, stacking furniture, creating a barrier. I can hear the door downstairs, the metal groaning, hinges straining. We're running out of time. It's 5:29. We've done what we can. The stairwells was blocked as much as possible. We're back in the studio, door locked. If they get through downstairs, if they get past our barricade, this door won't stop them. It's just a regular interior door. But maybe they won't come up. Maybe they'll lose interest once they're inside. Maybe. The sound from downstairs is terrifying. The constant pressure, the metal creaking, the sound of dozens of hands pushing, pushing, pushing. Then a different sound. A snap. A crash. The door is given way. They're inside. It's 5:36. We can hear them downstairs, moving through the first floor, knocking things over. That same inhuman moaning. Will they come up? We're standing in the middle of the studio. Nowhere to hide. Nowhere to run. We're on the second floor. Windows too high to jump from safely. We're trapped. Emily's holding the fire extinguisher. It's something, not much, but something. I'm standing by the microphone, still broadcasting. If these are my last minutes, I'm going to spend them doing my job. This is Daniel Rothman on 104.7 FM. The infected have breached the building. We're on the second floor. We've barricaded the stairs, but I don't know if it'll hold. If anyone's listening, if anyone's in a position to help, we're at the radio station on Elm Street. We need immediate assistance. My voice is surprisingly steady. I sound calmer than I feel. It's 5:44. The sounds downstairs have changed. They're at the barricade. We can hear furniture being moved, pushed, thrown aside. Our barrier won't hold. We knew that. We just hoped it would slow them down, give help time to arrive. But no help is coming. No sirens in the distance. No military vehicles. We're on our own. The sounds are getting closer. They're on the stairs now, just below us. Emily's backed into a corner. Fire extinguisher raised. I'm standing my ground. I don't know why. Nowhere to go anyway. The door handle rattles. They're testing it. Pushing against it. The door won't hold. It's bowing inward with each push. I'm saying something into the microphone. A prayer maybe. Or just a final message. I don't even know what words are coming out. The door splinters. Hands reaching through. Grasping. Then gunfire. Sudden loud close. Automatic weapons. The sound is deafening. The hands withdraw. The pressure on the door stopped. More gunfire. Sustained. Professional. I'm frozen. What's happening? Emily's moved to the window. Military. There's military outside. I'm at the window too, looking down. 3 trucks, soldiers in full gear, firing into the crowd of infected. The infected are scattering, some dropping, others running. That strange lurching run. Within minutes it's over. The infected are gone, dead or fled. Soldiers are entering the building. I can hear them clearing the first floor. Heavy boots on the stairs. A voice calling up, anyone alive up there? Yes, I'm shouting. 2 of us. Civilians, stay where you are. We're coming up. The barricade is moved aside. The door opens. A soldier in full tactical gear, weapon raised, entering carefully. Behind him, others. They're checking the room, making sure it's secure. You're the broadcaster, one of them says. It's not a question. Yes, Daniel Rothman. This is Emily Carson. We need to get you out of here. This area's been compromised. The whole building's contaminated now. Where are we going? Extraction point. There's an evacuation happening. Critical personnel only. You're on the list. Critical personnel. Because we're broadcasting. Because we're getting information out. We need to keep the station running, I say. People need no time to argue. We move now or we leave you here. I look at Emily. She nods. We have no choice. We're following the soldiers down the stairs, stepping over debris, through the broken door, into the street. The bodies of infected are everywhere. And they are bodies now. I'm forcing myself to look to see what they were. People. They were people. Students, maybe. Residents. Now they're casualties. We're loaded into a truck. Doors slam. The vehicle moves. I'm looking back at the radio station, the place I've worked for over a decade. Might never see it again. The broadcast just went silent. First time in 24 hours. It's 6:04. We're driving through the restricted zone. The devastation is worse than I imagined. Buildings damaged, cars abandoned, and bodies. So many bodies. Some clearly dead from gunfire. Others just lying where they fell. Did they die from the infection? From violence? I can't tell. The city looks like a war zone. It is a war zone. It's 6:21. We're arriving at what the soldier called an extraction point. It's the high school football field. Helicopters are landing and taking off. Organized chaos. We're hustled out of the truck. Someone's checking us over, looking for bite marks, scratches, signs of infection. We're clean, just terrified and exhausted, but physically unharmed. They're separating us. Emily's being taken to one helicopter, me to another. Wait, I'm saying. Where are we going? Medical evaluation facility. Different locations. Protocol. I'm trying to reach Emily. She's looking back at me, scared. It's okay, I call to her, though I don't know if it is. Then we're separated. She's gone. I'm being loaded onto a helicopter. Other people are already inside. I don't recognize any of them. They all look shell-shocked. The helicopter lifts off. Through the window, I can see the restricted zone spreading out below us. From up here, you can see the perimeter, vehicles, barriers, troops, a ring of containment around hell. And inside that ring, a city dying. It's 6:47. We're landing at what looks like a military base. Temporary structures have been set up. Medical tents, decontamination station. We're processed like refugees, which I suppose we are. Refugees from a biological disaster. Temperature check, blood draw, full physical examination, questions about exposure symptoms, contact with infected individuals. I answer everything honestly. I'm too tired to do anything else. Then I'm assigned to a quarantine trailer. Basic accommodations, bed, bathroom, small table, a window with a view of nothing in particular. I'll be here for at least 72 hours. Observation period. If I don't develop symptoms, I'll be cleared. If I do develop symptoms, I don't want to think about that. It's 7:31. I'm alone in the trailer. First time I've been truly alone in over 24 hours. The silence is profound. After the constant noise of the crisis, the screaming, the broadcast, the gunfire, this quiet feels wrong. I try to rest, but every time I close my eyes, I see them. The infected, the bodies. Emily's scared face as we were separated. I need to know she's okay. Need to know where they took her. But I have no phone, no communication device. I'm isolated for my safety, for everyone's safety. It's 8:14. Someone brought food, pre-packaged meal. I eat without tasting it. A medical person checks on me, takes my temperature again, asks how I feel. Tired, scared, but physically okay. They note that on their tablet, they'll be back in 4 hours for another check. Every 4 hours for the next 3 days. That's the protocol. It's 9:06. I'm thinking about what I saw from the helicopter. The scope of the disaster. How many dead? How many infected? How many still trapped in that zone? The news will have numbers eventually, body counts, statistics, but right now it's just chaos and uncertainty. I wonder if the broadcast helped at all, if people used the information I provided to stay safe, or if it just added to the panic. I'd like to think I made a difference. That's what I tell myself. It's 10:33. I'm watching through the window. They're bringing more people in. More evacuees from the restricted zone, critical personnel, they said. But who decides who's critical, who gets saved, and who gets left behind? It's an impossible decision. But someone had to make it. I'm one of the lucky ones. I got out. I'm alive. I might be clean of infection. So many others weren't as fortunate. It's 11:47, past midnight again. Wednesday night, bleeding into Thursday morning. 48 hours since the initial incident. Feels like a lifetime. I'm lying on the bed, staring at the ceiling, counting my breaths, trying to stay calm. Every little sensation feels like a symptom. A headache? Is that the infection starting? A strange thought? Is my cognition deteriorating? I'm probably just stressed and exhausted, but I can't stop second-guessing every feeling. It's 1:23. Can't sleep. My mind is too active. I keep thinking about the research. Dr. Chen's Accelerated Evolution Project. The whole concept of forcing viruses to evolve faster. The goal was noble. Predict future threats, stay ahead of the curve, save lives. But in trying to prevent future pandemics, they created one now. The road to hell is paved with good intention. It's 2:41. I must have dozed off. I wake with a start, thinking I hear moaning. The sound of the infected, but it's quiet. Just my imagination, or a nightmare. The line between sleeping and waking is blurred. Everything feels surreal. It's 3:56, almost dawn. Can see the sky beginning to lighten through the window. Another day. Day 3 of the crisis. What will today bring? More evacuations? Collapse of the containment zone? Spread to other areas? Or maybe, possibly, some good news. A treatment developed, the spread contained, the beginning of recovery. I'm trying to stay hopeful, but hope is hard right now. It's 5:33, fully light now. I can see the activity outside the trailer, medical personnel moving between facilities, helicopters taking off and landing. The operation is ongoing. The crisis continues. A medical person arrives for my morning check, temperature, pulse, blood pressure, questions about symptoms. Any headaches? Confusion? Unusual thoughts or behaviors? Just anxiety, stress. I can't stop thinking about everything that happened. That's normal. You've been through trauma, but let me know if anything changes. Anything unusual. They leave. I'm alone again. It's 6:41. I'm watching the news on a small TV they provided. The situation at Harrington is the only story. Death toll is now estimated at over 200. The restricted zone has been expanded again to 7 miles. Estimates suggest 300 to 400 active infections, maybe more. The numbers keep growing. International response is mobilizing. CDC has sent in reinforcements. WHO is monitoring. Other countries are offering assistance. But can anyone really help? This is uncharted territory. A lab-created pathogen with characteristics that don't exist in nature. We're making it up as we go. It's 8:19. They've brought breakfast, more prepackaged food. I eat mechanically. My quarantine period is 72 hours from extraction, they told me. That means I'll be here until Saturday morning at the earliest. 2.5 more days of isolation, of waiting to see if I develop symptoms, if I become one of them. I can do this. I have to. It's 9:47. News conference is starting. I'm watching on the TV. It's a different setup now. No more local officials. This is federal all the way. Secretary of Health and Human Services, CDC Director. Even the president is expected to make a statement later. This has become a national crisis. The secretary is speaking, grim-faced, acknowledging the severity of the situation. We are dealing with an unprecedented biological threat. The research pathogen that has escaped containment and is showing concerning transmission and mortality rates. The restricted zone is being maintained and expanded as necessary. We are exploring all treatment options and working around the clock to bring this under control. A reporter asks about casualties. Current confirmed deaths stand at 217. Confirmed infections at 432. But we believe the actual numbers are higher. Many victims have not been located or identified. Another asks about spread beyond the restricted zone. We have not confirmed any cases outside the immediate area, but we are monitoring closely. Anyone who left the area before the lockdown is being tracked and tested. So far, all tests have come back negative. That's something at least. Maybe it hasn't spread beyond the zone. Maybe. The conference continues. Technical details about containment strategies, medical responses, resource allocation. I listen, but it all feels distant, abstract. Even though I was just there, just lived through it, hearing it discussed in clinical terms makes it seem unreal. It's 10:36. The conference ended. The president spoke briefly, declared a national emergency, promised all federal resources to solve this. Empty words mostly. What else can he say? But people need to hear something from their leaders. I wonder if it helps, or if people see through the carefully crafted statements to the fear underneath. We're all scared, even the people in charge. It's 11:52. Lunch arrived. I'm eating, watching the news, trying to process everything. They're showing aerial footage of the restricted zone. The devastation is visible even from high altitude. Smoke rising from fires, streets empty, vehicles abandoned, a dead city. And somewhere in there, somewhere in that hell are people still alive, still trapped, still fighting to survive. I got out. They didn't. And I don't know how to feel about that. Grateful? Guilty? Both? It's 1:33. Mid-afternoon check, temperature still normal, no symptoms. The medical person seems pleased. You're doing well. Keep it up. If you can make it through another day and a half symptom-free, you'll likely be cleared. Likely. Not certainly. Because we don't fully understand this disease yet, don't know the full incubation period, the full range of symptoms. I'm a data point. We all are. They're learning from us, from who gets sick and who doesn't, from who lives and who dies. Science built on suffering. It's 3:09. I'm trying to sleep, but it's not working. Too much light, too much noise outside, too much anxiety. Instead, I'm pacing the small trailer. 5 steps one way, 5 steps back. I need something to do, something to occupy my mind. They gave me paper and a pen. For journaling, they said it helps with trauma processing. So I'm writing, putting down everything I remember from the past 2 days. Every detail, every moment. Maybe it'll help. Maybe it'll just make it worse, but at least it's something. It's 4:48. Writing has helped. Getting it out, seeing it on paper makes it feel more manageable somehow. Or maybe I'm just exhausted enough that everything feels distant now. I'm lying down again, trying to rest. Tomorrow is another day. More waiting, more uncertainty. but I'm alive. I made it this far. One day at a time. It's 6:21. Evening now. The sun setting. Another day ending. Dinner came. I ate. Medical check happened. Still symptom-free. Less than 48 hours left in quarantine. I'm past the halfway point. I can make it. It's 8:04. Watching the news again. The situation seems to have stabilized somewhat. The numbers are still growing, but not as fast. The containment zone is holding. They're talking about treatment options. Antivirals showing some promise in early trials. Nothing proven yet, but hopeful signs. And they're discussing long-term plans. How to clear the restricted zone, how to decontaminate, how to rebuild. They're thinking past immediate crisis to recovery. That has to be a good sign, right? It's 9:53. I'm tired, but I don't want to sleep. Sleep brings nightmares. The infected, the deaths, the fear. So I'm staying awake as long as I can, writing, watching TV, pacing. Eventually I'll crash, but not yet. It's 11:37. I can't fight it anymore. My eyes are closing on their own. I'm giving in, lying down, letting sleep take me. Tomorrow. I'll worry about everything tomorrow. For now, I need rest. Good night.